Welcome RYLA finalists to RYLA Finals Day 2. We have with us today Mr. Teo Kwan Swee, Governor of Rotary International District 3300 Malaysia, year 2020-2021. Dato Bindi Rajasegaran, Governor 2021-2022. Dr. Krishna Kumar, Governor 2022-2023. And Dato Dr. Siva Anandan, Governor 2023-2024. RYLA co-organizing chairs, none other than past Governor Kiranjit Kaur and past Assistant Governor Karthi Palaniasamy. Our distinguished guest speaker, YB Saddiq Syed Abdul Rahman, and Rotarians of District 3300 Malaysia. Warm welcome to one and all. We've had an exciting session yesterday, and I'm sure you are curious on where your team stands so far. For that, I would like to invite Shirley Ho, RYLA Program Coordinator, to share the leaderboard. Shirley?
All right. So after an exciting day yesterday, and then we had one activity, which was the team bingo, which was a team-based activity. And I'm sure all of you are dying to know where your standings are in regards to this. And we're going to show you the standings so that, we want to make sure that also to tell you that there's still hope. All right. And let me tell you that the points are so close to each other. You're just a matter of 2 or 3 points difference only from one team to the other. So the competition is really, really tight after one activity. So here we go. Let's see the results of our team bingo. So coming in on the 8th placing is none other than group 007, followed by 5 brilliant intellectuals at 7th position. For real is at the 6th position, followed by RYLA Rangers at the 5th position and Aqua Rangers at the 4th position. Now the top 3, Planted Right, Checkmate and SixFlix, you 3 are tied with the same points. All right. So, I'm a firm believer that, if you are last at the standing, it only means that you're going to be taking the first position at the end. I've seen it happen so many times. So do not give up hope, any of you. Don't think that just because you're last today, that you're going to remain so. Because like I said, the difference in points are so close. So after today's assignment, which is none other than your Rotary Project Ideas presentation, this standing is just going to change. All right. So with that, I pass over to Millie to continue on with the program.
Thank you, Shirley. Thank you. Well done to all the teams. You have all shown leadership, teamwork, and excellent participation. There'll be more points to grab as we go through the next session, so stay engaged and keep up the momentum. I would like to now invite RYLA co-organizing chairman, past Assistant Governor Karthi Palaniasamy, for his welcoming address. Karthi, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Millie. Thank you. Participants, good evening and welcome to the second day of RYLA. I must, of course, acknowledge the presence of Governor Dato Bindi Rajasegaran, who is in the house. We also have with us, of course, immediate past District Governor Teo, who's here. It is exciting to see a lot of Rotary leaders here. We've got the Governor after Bindi, who is Dr. Krishna, who's also in the house. We have the Governor after that, Dr. Siva, also here. And when you see so many district leaders here and so many other Rotarians here, we've got some of the past governors here watching, really, this just lives up to what Rotary's credo when it comes to youth is, right? But every Rotarian an example to youth. A lot of us believe very, very strongly that the young are the future of this country. And RYLA, actually the Rotary Youth Leadership Award, is really an example of how Rotary spends our time, our money, and our investment on the young. Yesterday was exciting. We had Michael Teo, who spoke about the art of now, Zenshin. And we had, of course, Big Guru, who came and spoke about a strategic guide for young adults, and how do you accelerate your life during the pandemic. Today is going to be another exciting day. We have an exciting young speaker who's going to tell us about stand up and be counted. 3-time world champion debater, who's going to spend an hour with us, sharing his thoughts and also, of course, answering questions. We'll have RYLA Got Talent, and of course, we have got the project ideas, which is really the mainstay of today's event. So, guys, as I do an intro to the thing, remember this. The reason Rotary spends time on the young is because we hope in time you become volunteers. You see the necessity of volunteering your services. Rotary, besides the Rotary clubs we also have Rotrack and of course Intrack. We hope in time, once you finish RYLA and become RYLArians, you will join us in the work that we do, either joining Rotrack or joining Rotaries. With that, thank you very much and good evening.
Thank you, Karthi.
Back to you, Millie.
Thank you, Karthi. Our guest speaker today, is he in? Yeah,
Yes, it's in the house. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Okay, our guest speaker today is no stranger in the national scene. Why, besides Saddiq, as most of us already know, was the youngest minister we ever had when he served as Minister of Youth and Sports. The Member of Parliament from Muar is an alumnus of Royal Military College and holds an LLB from University Islam Antarabangsa, Malaysia. He is widely known in the debating community after having won Asia's Best Speaker Award at the Asian British Parliamentary Debating Championship 3 times. In April 2021, he has successfully completed the Lee Kuan Yew Senior Fellowship in Public Service Program at Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, National University of Singapore. In his own words, "If you met me 11 years ago, I'm like a totally different person. I could speak English, but my English wasn't good. I never got A's for my English papers, and English papers in Malaysia are not difficult. My knowledge was shit. I thought Africa was a country. Egypt was a continent. I'm not scared to say that I'm a mama's boy. I realized the epicenter of change in Malaysia is not through the military. If I'm interested to change my country, I must partake in politics. Doesn't mean I have to be a politician, but I can just be someone who pushes politicians from the outside or be an activist. The point is, I must partake in the political discourse." Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and join me to welcome YB Syed Saddiq with Stand Up and Be Counted.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mal. Thank you very much, fellow Rotarians. It's a pleasure to be speaking virtually with you today. It's just unfortunate that we couldn't meet in person. I remember when Dato Shamrat first contacted me, we should have met up face to face. Obviously, COVID has been quite unexpected, but maybe in the future sessions, we will be able to meet up physically and face to face once we win the war against COVID. I want to start off my speech by sharing one of the most important values which I hold dearly to myself, which is one's moral conscience, and no matter what actions we do to ensure that our heart is in the right place. You'll hear me say this many times, not just today, but also when I first joined debating, when I first joined public activism, setting up NGOs, and from there onward, setting up political parties. I always say whenever there is a tough decision and when we are confronted with many difficult barriers to overcome, instead of just looking at things with facts, figures, science, which is obviously important, one's conscience is often one of the best ways to gauge whether that decision is right or wrong, whether we'll be able to sleep peacefully at night, whether our heart is in the right place or not. Because one's moral conscience is something which you will carry wherever you go during the toughest or easiest of times. And it's not just based on monetary or power rewards, but it's really based on the values which you hold dearly to yourself, which led you to a particular path once upon a time. And with that, I'd like to share a few stories which I went through, which hopefully could be carried by others. there were a few very interesting things mentioned during the introduction just now. It is true, if you met me years ago, while I come from a middle-class family where my mum was an English teacher, she just retired last year, I was one of her worst students. The reason I say one of her worst students, she's Guru Cemerlang, one of the best teachers. And she was teaching in a public school. And almost everyone who went through her classes will get A's in English, except for this fella, where I'll get A's in other subject, but English will be a pain point. And I remember then I would often argue with my mom, and I knew I had that natural debating instinct in me, was when my mom said, Saddiq, why can't you learn how to speak in English? Look at all the students, all your friends, all your family members, all getting A's, you're doing okay. Why are you so stubborn? And I'll argue my mom saying, Mom, what is this? English is bahasa penjajah, or the language of the invaders. Obviously, I don't hold that view anymore. This was me during my more rebellious days. And I'll always argue with my mom in many ways. And obviously, I was wrong. Clear-cut, categorically, I was wrong. What changed me was when I was about 15 years old, Form 3 then, and I set my eyes to enter military school, which is the Royal Military College. And this is why I say, follow your heart. And I followed my heart then because I saw my grandfather who served in the Navy from his early days, I think 17 to 18 years old, until he retired, and he was in the Navy. And I've always loved the military. And when I was 14 to 15, I was already reading many military journals, magazines, subscribing to online portals in regards to regional military magazines. And I genuinely loved it. So I set my heart and my mind to enter Royal Military College. But in order for me to enter RMC, I had to get a minimum of 6 A's, and maths and science must be A's. At the same time, I must pass IQ test, EQ test, physical test, medical test, and many different tests there. And on average, there'll be about 5,000 to 8,000 people who will attempt to enter, and only about 200 will be selected. So despite the fact that my academic credentials were not that good then, but because I knew that my heart was in the right place and I was very much focused, I had that laser focus to get in, I worked really hard. I really abandoned almost all my negative hobbies. I used to go, skip school to go play cyber cafe. Then cyber cafe was a big thing. I used to tell my parents during weekends that I'll be sleeping at my neighbor's house, and my neighbor would tell his parents they'll be sleeping at my house, but in reality, we'll meet halfway and we'll walk for about 45 minutes to go to the nearest cyber cafe, play from 10 p.m. until 8 a.m. in the morning because there's the 10 ringgit 10-hour discount. So that's how big of a rascal I was. And I haven't started talking about how I skipped religious schools then to go to cyber cafe. But that was me then. But I knew that I really wanted to enter military school, and for that I have to abandon all of this, focus my studies. And finally, when PMR came, I got 6 A's and 2 B's. Not to say that it's good, but at least the bare minimum. And after that, I knew I had to pass the IQ test, EQ test, physical test, medical test really well, because my academic was just the bare minimum to get into the school. Oh, sorry, yeah. Was just the bare minimum. And this is where I say again, follow your heart, and willpower is ridiculously important. So during my medical test and during my physical test, I remember it was done at Camp Tentera Pago, if I recall it right. And I had to complete 2.4 kilometers in less than 20 minutes or 15 minutes, if I recall it right. And then I was diagnosed with asthma. I was an asthmatic patient. And I've never ever accomplished that before. I've been training for a while, but I've never accomplished it because it was really bad. For those of you who have asthma, you'll know if it's normal, you have the chocolate looking nebulizer. If it's serious, then you have the blue colored one. I have the blue colored one and a huge nebulizer machine at home. However, this is where, again, willpower and following your heart matters a lot. So instead of just, again, giving up, I knew that I had to really work out of the box and also still end up surviving. So I think out of the box. I made a really good friend at the military camp. I said, bro, if If the military officer saw me with my nebulizer, I'll definitely be expelled. So if possible, once you are done at finishing line, and I knew he was fit, so he will definitely be done at finishing line way earlier than me. Please just bring my nebulizer and wait in the toilet because I'll run immediately there and I need the nebulizer. So I ran my heart out and I completed the race just in time. And immediately when I ran in the toilet, I fainted. And I'm alive today because of that friend who had that blue nebulizer with him. I'm sharing these stories because in the end, it's really about a combination of thinking out of the box, networking, willpower, which plays a pivotal role in breaking down tough life barriers. The other test then is the medical test. And like today, I'm wearing contact lenses, but in order for you to enter military school then, you had to have almost perfect eyesight. So I couldn't wear spectacles because if they caught me wearing spectacles, then I will not be able to enter military school. Again, instead of giving up, I had to find ways to innovate while still following the rules of the game. What I did, I knew that the medical test will be early on in the morning. So what I did, then we didn't have these fancy iPhones. I remember we had this Nokia phone, but with a camera. So it's not that great of quality, but it's decent. So what I did, I woke up, I was the earliest one to wake up, showered, got ready, entered the medical room. And you know, whenever you want to do the eyesight test, it's the same test everywhere, where they'll put 2 or 3 boards in front of you with A to Z from big to small fonts. So I knew I wouldn't be able to see from afar. I took out my phone because the doctors were not there yet. I took photos of all 3 boards and I went to the back of the line. So that, and I knew when I went to the back of the line, I had about, 5 hours before everyone will complete the test. When I went back to the line, took out my phone, memorized it from top to bottom. So whenever they point out, okay, the second line, third bottom from the second line, I will know what it was. And surprisingly, I passed that as well. And from there onward, it was smooth sailing and I got into the military school. And obviously after that, I immediately wore spectacles. I had my nebulizer, but by then they can't kick me out because I already managed to get myself in. Again, the summary of this story is it's not for you to break the law. It's to know which legal ambit are you in? How can you innovate and think out of the box and combine it with willpower, which is driven by your pursuit for passion and to just follow the heart. Because if you don't believe in it, obviously you will not work that hard. You will not even bother to do all of this. But when you know your heart is in the right place, really the sky is the limit. And from there onward, when I got into military school, I fell in love with debating. A lot thought that I was already very, very fluent in English and that my knowledge was good. I wasn't. As what was mentioned just now, my general knowledge was worse. Africa as a country, Egypt as a continent. If I say that today, people think I'm crazy. And on top of that, my English, I remember one of the words which I keep on mentioning, my debate trainer say, what are you talking about, Saddiq? You know, recipe, I used the word recipe. You know, there's a very, people say in the Malaysian slang to it, which is not even the right pronunciation. But I learned, and again, this is where willpower came in. But when I joined debating at first, my intention was not clean. I joined debating not because I wanted to be a champion debater, to learn English, or to become a critical thinker. I really joined debating because I wanted to skip military training, especially the ragging which comes with it. Because often debating trainings will be at night after your prep class. Prep class is until about 10 p.m. and during weekends. And often you get bullied at night and during weekends. So I'm like, this is another way for me to enjoy military school while not get bullied. So let's join debate trainings or the debate club. Obviously, my seniors, like how innovative I am, they are more innovative as well. So they bully debaters during other times, which is like 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning or late night during weekends when we're back from training. But from there on, I already met up with all these people. And one of the persons who impacted my life so much that until today, I call him Master Yoda. Not only because he's short, but also because he's ridiculously smart and motivational. His name is Ami Asfar. He wasn't a champion debater, but he was a champion motivator. And despite me being such a bad student, you know, entering debate class, sleeping, not focusing, only there to slack off. However, he never gave up on me. And he said, while you may not be passionate now, I'll make sure that you will love it. And he was very motivational. He didn't punish me. He didn't bully me. And that slowly endeared me to him and also debating. And because of that, one important skill set which he embedded in my heart and mind, not necessarily, the complicated debate skills, the general knowledge, but was the willpower to work ridiculously hard to achieve something which I believed in. And he embedded that in my mind and heart. And from there onward, it was smooth sailing. Because when I knew I wanted to become a national champion, I knew that I wanted to become fluent in English, that I wanted to improve on my general knowledge, that willpower pushed me a lot. And he was one of the biggest factors for that. So this comes to the other moral value, right? Where everyone will have a role to inspire others. And it comes in many different forms, in many different opportunities, in many different fields, whether you're a lawyer, doctor, teacher, lecturer, whatever it is. For me, then I was inspired by my senior, Ami Asfar, who I called Master Yoda, who never gave up in me when everyone else gave up in me and saw no hope in me. And I hope that in the smallest to the most meaningful of ways, we inspire the lives of others, whether it's our family, friends, or those who we never have met up with ever before. So from there onward, I learned debating from RMC, but I never became a champion debater when I was in RMC. Most of the times, I was merely the reserve debater. They call me Tortoise then. They call me Tortoise because I was like quite short as well then. And I was bringing like this huge bag filled with files. So then when people saw me from afar, I'm like this tortoise running here and there, bringing the files for my debate seniors. However, it was worth it because the willpower was already embedded in my heart, which then led me to the International Islamic University of Malaysia. We had a decent debate team then, which was one of the best debating universities in Malaysia, but we were nowhere close to Asia. But when I entered IIUM, I knew that I wanted, I thought that the peak of my debate career will be when I win a national championship. But as I mentioned before, it is about following the heart. And the heart never sets a value or a goal at a trophy or at a cash prize. Often it's something bigger than that. It is about improving myself. It is about improving those around me. And it's about achieving things which are seen to be unachievable. So to my surprise, obviously I trained remarkably hard. I remember when it was holiday time, when other students went back and the university was closed, then I was staying in the foundation center of IIUM at PJ. When others all went back during holidays and the university was shut down, they took down the electricity. I didn't go back and I stayed at my dorm illegally. And obviously there was no light because the electricity was off. But I made do because trainings will happen in the academic block in the morning. So I just charge my phone and my laptop in the morning during debate training. And then once everyone went back, I'll go back to my pitch dark dorm to sleep there and then to shower there again, pitch dark with my phone light. And then I'll have to panjat pagar every day to eat at it's not One Utama, a place near PJ. So every day for my dinner. But it was worth it because that showed I had skin in the game, that was very focused. And during my first year in the foundation center, I was able to win a national championship and break my university record by being the top 10 team in Asia. And from there onward, I knew I didn't want to stop there because there was this sense of pride which I get when I see that I'm able to fly the Malaysian flag, and especially when I'm able to outcompete our neighbors and especially Singapore. I think Singapore is a great country. If anything, we should compete with one another positively, not negatively. But me being partially half Singaporean because my dad was a Singaporean, I definitely want to prove that Malaysia is much better. And then Singapore was the top of Asia, NUS, NTU, SMU. I can't stand that, not because they were bad people, they were great people, great friends. But again, it's the Malaysian pride that, heck, why can they do better? I mean, what do we lack, right? And I knew for me to be better, I had to work 10 times harder than them and really be an unconventional critical thinker for that to work. So again, during normal semesters, I'll head out to Singapore, not as a debater, by using my own money, my allowance, because then I was already teaching tuition during weekends and during weeknights. And I'll go to Singapore during weekends just to watch the debaters debate. Because in order for me to be the best in Asia, I need to see the best debaters debate. So I'll stalk them online. When I say online, not on Facebook, but on YouTube, how they debate. At the same time in Singapore to see how they debate. And I remember by the second year I was in university, I was already able to beat them and subsequently be named the best debater in Asia for 3 consecutive years. And then at the World Championship, Australasian Championship, and the like. So from there, I knew that, you know, in debating, I'm able to accomplish something which I really wanted, which is beyond winning trophies and so many cash prize. Cash prize in debating is unbelievable. You win 1 championship, you can get 30,000 ringgit. You go abroad, you teach abroad, they pay $1,000 per hour. And I was privileged enough that by my 4th year in university, I was able to travel to more than 25 countries to teach debating and public speaking. But the most important value which I get is the value of being able to be a better person. That I'm now a lot more compassionate. I'm a global citizen. I know what's happening around me. And the critical thinking mindset is what I believe is priceless and which I got through debating. But I didn't stop there. And this is where, just give me another 3 more minutes before we go to Q&A. And this is where I evolved from just being a passionate speaker on issues in the confinements of the debate room to being an activist. Because as a debater, often you are expected to debate real world issues, whether it's about the Eurozone, how do you deal with the Euro crisis, how do you deal with ethnic discrimination, how do you deal with quotas, how do you deal with, I mean, from everything from social issues, economic issues, and the like. But it's not enough if I merely argue about these issues passionately in the confinements of a debate room. I want to take it out. I want to bring a positive impact on policies so that it's not just words, but words are translated into policy outcomes and policy outcomes are translated into real world changes. And that's what truly pushed me into politics. Because at one point in time, when I was about to graduate from university, then I was already appointed as the debate trainer and also a part-time lecturer in the university, teaching niche, debating, and advanced public speaking. And at that point in time, when I decided to be an activist, I wrote a few open letters, managed multiple different columns in Yahoo, Malaysia Kini, FMT, and many others. Immediately, because I was quite critical of what was happening in Malaysia, I mean, everything was clamped down upon. I lost my job as a part-time lecturer. I lost my job as a researcher for the Johor state government. My father and mother were threatened because my mother was a teacher. The students who I trained, who were about to represent Malaysia, were barred or banned from representing because I was their lecturer and I was their trainer. But that didn't weaken my resolve. And again, it ties back to follow your heart. At that point in time, I was at a unique juncture. Do I just pick the easy route? Because my pay then to me was quite amazing already. I was working for a minister. I was a researcher. I was a part-time lecturer. I was a debate trainer. I was also teaching debating abroad. There's like 5-6 different incomes in one go. And especially when I teach in Qatar, Qatar is amazing and they pay ridiculous amount of money. That's what happens when you get oil money. So it was an interesting life, but I knew that my heart was not in the right place. If I just kept quiet, knowing what was wrong, the guilty conscience will haunt me, and I know I'll never be able to sleep peacefully at night. And that led me to fight on. And from there onwards, it pushed me into politics and nation building. And again, then I was never connected to anyone. I don't come from a political family. I've never joined any political party. I've never met up with Tun Dr. Mahathir then, never met up with Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin then. The best is that I was awarded the National Youth Award by the Prime Minister then, Dato Sri Najib Razak. But I knew that I wanted to make my voice heard. So instead of using the political path, I set up an NGO. I got about 25 young leaders and national award winners from many different platforms to come together and suggested a few reforms to be made to Malaysia to move our country forward. And from there onward, our voice was heard, and then we were called up, and one thing led to another. So it's a very long process, but this is where I want to end it here. Throughout all the, for all the critical junctures which I went through, the reflective points and the turning points, to me, everything ties back to following your heart. Because if the heart is in the right place, all will go well. Because your heart often acts as a moral conscience. And you know whether what you're doing is right or wrong. And if that decision may reap temporary benefits, whether it's power, whether it's money, whether it's specific privileges and positions, yes, you will love it in the short term, but you'll always have that guilty mind and guilty conscience to haunt you wherever you go. And in many critical junctures which I faced, even up to last year, when the party which I helped set up decided to make an unprecedented move, putting aside the people's mandate, from the beginning, immediately when I heard that news, I fought it because I think it was wrong. And no matter what threats and offers come my way, I will fight it out, because in the end, I'm here for a particular reason, and I'll never stop until I achieve that end and that purpose and that objective. But what guides me again is to ensure that my heart is in the right place. Because if my heart was not in the right place, I'll never ever be able to reach this far. Because when I joined debating, if my heart was not in the right place, I would have given up even before I joined any national championship, because it's tough, it's difficult, and I'm a nobody. If my heart was not in the right place, I'll never even bother to talk about national issues. If I don't believe in it, why do I bother to do it when it will lead me to lose my offer to Oxford, when it will lead me to lose support from my family, from my friends, and lose my sources of income? But my heart was in the right place. So then it ties to that. So my final message is this. While many people will say that being an expert, having unique skill sets are the most important values, not to downplay it is. However, if your moral conscience is not clear and your heart is not in the right place, it's very hard for you to achieve that goal. So I may not have started as a great debater in comparison to many of others around me. But what I did have, I knew that my heart was in the right place. I knew that I had the willpower to drive me forward. So if they worked for to learn 2 hours a day, I'll learn 10 hours a day. And if they will need to take 5 years to become a champion debater, I'll work critically and unconventionally to think out of the box to shorten that process to 1 year or 2 years. Everything is possible. It's just breaking tough decisions down into small decisions and then scaling it from there onward, and following your willpower, your conscience, and following your heart, because often the heart will never be wrong. So that's it for me. Thank you very much. I look forward to entertaining your questions. And I'm an open book. No matter what, no matter how controversial the questions are, do not worry. I've already told my colleagues, I don't censor anything. And I'll try my best to be as transparent as possible in answering your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, YB. YB, I'm CK here. I'm part of the RYLA committee. I'll be moderating the Q&A sessions, YB.
Thank you.
But before that, based on what you said, YB, you make it sound so easy. The word focus is something that we have known from day one we start learning. It's easy said, focus, pay attention, have your willpower. But we also know, I mean, you're also human as well. There have been moments where you probably wanted to give up. You probably don't want to do this. You probably wanted to change your direction. At those dark moments, maybe you can share with the youth here, what do you tell yourself, or what can they tell to themselves to pick up from where they left and start moving forward again? Everyone goes through this. So what was your mantra?
That's a great question. And first thing is to acknowledge that we are all human beings, and there will be tough decisions which we'll have to make. Some will make it right, some we would make wrong decisions. But what is important is your ability to pivot after. If you know you've made the wrong decision, don't stick to that decision thinking that you are right and everyone else is wrong, and that you are arrogant and you can never be proven wrong. And there are many times in my life I've made wrong decisions, and I'm not shy to share about it. For example, when I was in primary school and entering high school, before I entered military school, I was a sexist. I will tell my sister, why do you bother to work? Because in the end, you're supposed to just work at home. And that I would always believe then that my race is the superior race in Malaysia. And as a consequence, I mean, we should forever be the so-called tuans of the land. And I don't hold that position, and I'll never hold it again. But it's to acknowledge that, you know, as we learn, as we meet up with many other people, and life experience definitely allows us to change our minds, we need to learn how to pivot. So pivoting, the ability to pivot is actually a very important skill set. Acknowledge that you're wrong, apologize, find ways to mend for past mistakes, and move forward, instead of being arrogant enough to thinking that you're always right and everyone else is wrong. Secondly, is also to acknowledge, as human beings as well, we are not free of emotions. There will be some moments where really we feel like giving up, and that is normal. I mean, I've had many moments where I feel like giving up. The first moment came, I mean, one major moment I remember was in October or September 2017. Then I knew that I already got a spot into Oxford University's School of Public Policy, one of the best public policy schools, with a scholarship from the university. And when I got that spot, I thought, screw this, right? I mean, politics is ridiculous, it's dirty, it's toxic. My family has taken a huge toll on my family. It's taken a huge toll on my career as an educator, as a lecturer, and it was truly a stressful time. And mind you, if you remember back in 2017, no one would ever thought that it was possible for there to be a change in government. Because in 2017, opposition, we were in shambles. We were fighting for one another. There's no clear policy guideline, no clear and structured leadership. We were everywhere. And I really thought of giving up. But when you are confronted with this tough times and tough decisions, take some time. And that's what I did. Right, I took some time to speak to as many people as possible. I really entered my debate mindset, you know, went to a whiteboard, what are the pros and cons, really assessed one by one, and really to embrace my emotions that, you know, it's okay to be fearful. It's okay to be scared. It is okay to have sleepless nights. But I mean, in the end, when you make the decision, you know that the heart is in the right place. And I didn't give up. And from there onward, while it was tough, I'm able to move forward. And there are many times, I mean, and many other examples which I'll share another time. But do not be afraid to be human, right? That we make mistakes, but when we do learn how to pivot and correct those mistakes, and as human beings, we can be overwhelmed by emotions. Don't be afraid to embrace those emotions, to understand the fear behind every single decision. But in the end, follow the heart and our conscience, because often it will lead you in the right direction.
That's a good advice, YB. Thank you very much. YB, you're actually a problem to most of the young people because they get scolded at home and their parents mention your name. Look at Syed Saddiq, he's a young guy and he's doing wonders. And what are you doing? Watching TV and listening to music, that's all you do. You got to show your human side to the parents as well, YB.
Will do.
Moving to the questions, we have a question here from Geeta from the Rotary Club of Sentul. She wants to know, what do you think are the qualities of a good political leader?
I think first is someone who follows the heart, and often the heart must be principled. Because politics in Malaysia, I mean, to be honest, again, I never expected to be where I'm at today or to even reach this far. I mean, when I decided to pivot from Oxford to remain in politics, then I never even expected to win elections because, I mean, no one thought we would win then. But I knew what I wanted, and I knew to reach that end, there may be complicated paths which I need to go through. What is my end? I want Malaysia to be a developed country the beacon of hope in ASEAN. At the same time, I want Malaysia to be a moderate, multiracial, and policy-driven country, which obviously is respected internationally, and also a country in which all Malaysians, regardless of race, religion, and political creed, could proudly call home a home which we will build together. However, to achieve that end, there will be many different paths which people will take. And this is where compromises must be made, but while it is made, never lose focus, right? Because in the end, while you may take one step backwards, in the end, you are still taking 3 steps to the front in the next few weeks. So I think that matters a lot, because you must be very focused and driven to achieve that objective. And at the same time, that there will be times where you have to compromise, but never compromise on the principles which got you into politics to begin with. I think that's something very important. 2 is, I think Malaysian politics hasn't reached the level of accountability, transparency, integrity, like many developed countries where we have independent institutions which works regardless of who is in government. And with that in mind, having that level of willpower and perseverance matters a lot, because if you don't love the nation building agenda, or you don't love the cause which you're fighting for, it's very easy for you to give up, really. I mean, if I really didn't care about national building, I would have given up way earlier in 2016 or 2017, when some very personal things came out about me and my family. Or like recently, if I really, didn't care for what I believed in, I think I would have pivoted to support a different political coalition from March last year, because I could have remained my position as a minister, as the youth chief of the party, and also the youth chief of the coalition, which was offered to me. But then I knew if that happened, I will never be able to sleep at night, because a lot of my friends are very multiracial, moderate. My team is very multiracial, moderate, and they will leave me immediately. And I'm quite glad that I have such good friends and families around me. So with that in mind, so I think that's the second value, is to have that level of perseverance. The final part, so that's 2. The final part, which I suggest, which I think is very much underrated in Malaysia, is to focus on policy reforms. Because in Malaysia, politics has been very much personality-based, race-based, religious-based. But often, personality, race, religion, ethnicities are all largely intertwined to one another. To say that Malaysia is a post-racial world, that's too idealistic. To say Malaysia, all Malaysians are inherently racist, that's wrong as well. Often, Malaysia is a melting pot, right? There's a level of proudness in our diversity, and diversity should be treated as an asset and not as a liability. And often policies can find that middle path forward. But we don't talk a lot about it. So for example, you can have a change in government 10 times, but if you don't build strong democratic institutions, whoever formed government can abuse power like his or her opponents who held government before. And that's why I keep on arguing for a systems change, an overhaul in the way how we do politics in Putrajaya, and overhaul in the way how we do business as usual, right? It's about reforming our tax code so that there's a fair taxation system. It is about decentralizing power from the hands of the political elites. It is about decentralization of power from Putrajaya to democratic institutions like the parliament, like respective state governments and the like. So in the end, whoever forms government, Malaysia will be on a self-driving path forward. This is one example. I want to share one example, which I know a lot of Malaysians may not feel comfortable to say, but it is the reality. Look at Israel. This is one country which in many ways don't represent what Malaysia is. However, their institutions are so strong that despite the fact that the past 2 years, there was absolutely zero political stability. I mean, if you say that Malaysian political stability is bad, Israel was worse. They had 4 to 5 elections in a 2-year timeline, right? And they never were able to form government. However, that was a time in which they recorded highest foreign direct investment. That was a time in which they recorded highest technological innovations, which are exported to many countries, including Malaysia. And it signals, don't look at Israel, but look at the system. How do Scandinavian countries do it? How did Australia do it? I mean, Malaysians love to go to Australia, and if given a chance, they may even choose to reside there. I mean, Australia at one point in time had a change in government and a change in prime minister twice in a year. However, the civil service was so independent and the country was so viciously independent that they could still move forward. I think that should be Malaysia, if not better, because we have all the skills, right? I mean, our Malaysian doctors abroad are the best doctors. Malaysian businessmen in Hong Kong are the best businessmen, right? It was Malaysian businessman Robert Kwok who started from scratch, a poor family, built his empire in Southeast Asia, moved to Hong Kong, and then started building his empire in China under Deng Xiaoping. I mean, whenever we go abroad, we are the best students, we are the best doctors, we are the best engineers, we are the best architects, we are the best esports players, we are the best in everything. However, at home, we are seen as a country of mediocres or stuck in the cocoon of mediocrity. Malaysia should never be a country of mediocrity. We are a country of excellence and we should never settle for anything less. So I faith that with the right institutions and policies, we will get there. Slightly long question, but these are the three important values which I believe will drive Malaysia forward.
Thanks, YB. You know, that was the best part. It sounded like you were reading from a script, all that just came out of your mouth. But we know it was just flowing from your brain. That's good, YB. We would like to see more leaders like this. For moving forward, there's another question here. Praveen wants to know, with only basic skills of debating, is there any platforms for individuals to further improve in participating in debating competitions outside the university ground? Is there anything after school life, college life, uni life to continue to be a debater? Is there a platform?
Of course. So just to share, when I started learning to debate, I didn't learn through a structured debate training process. It was in RMC, and when I was in RMC, we never had a debate trainer. But what we did have are debate seniors, our seniors then. And we learned a lot from the internet. Then when during my schooling days in RMC, we actually couldn't bring any smartphones or laptop. But again, me being someone who's a rascal and who likes to think out of the box, I knew in order for me to learn, I had to find a way to get a laptop in. So I smuggled it in, kept it in the English room. We had access to internet. So every time after prep hour, I will learn debating via YouTube. And YouTube is a treasure trove to improve myself as a debater. Because instead of benchmarking my debate skills to the national champion, then I could already see the best debaters in the world debating. What was the kind of style which they use, what the kind of arguments, how do they reach that argument? I'll reverse engineer the process. For example, I'll see the best debater debating at the World Championship, let's say 2012, and then the motion is, let's say this missiles will invade Syria, then it was a very big issue. And then I will prep that motion, but then I will not debate it, and I'll watch the world champion argue it. And I'll see, oh, how did he reach that argument? Why didn't I think about that? And then I'll reverse engineer my thinking process. And I did that every day, you know, and I knew in order for me to be the best, I had to benchmark myself with the best, and the YouTube and internet will give me access to the best debaters debating. So one is the internet is a treasure trove. Then it was for me, and YouTube was the biggest treasure trove for me. Beyond that, now there are many strong debate NGOs and institutions in Malaysia. Look up Malaysian Institute for Debate and Public Speaking, MIDP. It's very affordable, and they've trained some of the best debaters in Malaysia. I did a short stint training some of the debaters there, especially for the Malaysian team who was about to represent Malaysia at the World Schools Debating Championship. So you can look it up. However, again, if you genuinely love it, what you only need is your passion and willpower, and you just need your laptop. That will teach you a lot, and that's exactly what taught me a lot.
Okay, thanks. I hope it answers your question, Praveen. Moving on with the next questions, without being political at all. The question is, people tend to think there's a lot of flaws with the current youth.
they complain a lot, they are bickering a lot, they don't have the patience to wait. We used to have a modem just to connect to internet, and we wait like a good 1-2 minutes. Today's generation can't even wait 3 seconds, and they claim laptop is not good, internet is slow. So what do you think that the youth today should be adapting, or are they really what the boomers and Gen X is claiming they are? They are just a complaining generation?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard this 100 times, especially from my mentor before, to Dr. Madi. When I served him in cabinet, I'll always argue with him passionately about this issue, because he'll tell me, you know, Saddiq, young people need to work a lot harder. You know, my generation did A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then back then we did this kind of jobs, you know, now you have everything for you already. And I will disagree with him, and I'll disagree with him passionately, but I'll argue with facts. Let's look at the Malaysian youth today. Just look at our parents' generation. Our parents' generation, by the time they reach their mid-30s, they already have a house, they already own a car, they already often have a stable job, and they have access to a pension. However, if you look at the young people in Malaysia today, job security is a very big issue, and that's where the gig economy is growing. On top of that, the level of unemployability, the unemployment level in Malaysia has never been higher. Youth unemployment now is at about 16%, especially in times of COVID. Beyond that, we are looking at the generation which is expected to work 2 or 3 different odd jobs to just make a living. And even with these 2 or 3 odd jobs, they still cannot own assets. They cannot own a house. They cannot own a car because it's ridiculously expensive. Cost of living is increasing as each day passes by. On top of that, it is our generation who's expected to shoulder the burden of past generation to multiple national debts which are placed on us. And because our parents' generation today, and as been shown by many data, by EPF, by Khazanah, that because they went through a tough time as well, they don't have savings. You know, the majority of retirees today cannot live beyond 9 years of their savings, right? And especially now, you know, people are saying, oh, we draw money from EPF 1, EPF 2. They forget that in the end, when they lose their savings, I mean, yeah, sure, the older generation will suffer a bit, but who will have to shoulder that burden? It's us, the children. We're not going to allow our parents to suffer and to be homeless, but we have to shoulder the debt. We have to pay for them. So really, we are forced to take 2 or 3 different odd jobs. We are paid a lot less. Mind you, for the past 20 years, you look at the average income of a graduate and benchmark it to growing inflation level, our national wage has been reducing and not increasing, right? Don't look at a mere statistical increase in numbers. Look at benchmark it to the rate of inflation in Malaysia as well. In reality, there is a wage decline. And just last month, you can look it up. You know, while we are going through COVID, right? Hundreds and thousands of people are out of job. More than 500,000 working class Malaysians falling through the cracks of poverty and moving to the B40 category. The level of poverty doubling in 1 year time. Now we have more 600,000 people living below poverty line. And while we go through all of that, average income of a graduate reduced by 17% today. 17%, the chances of them to get a job is much harder. And those who do get a job have an income reduced 17% than what a graduate would get 2 years ago. And while we're seeing all of this, we are looking at increase of income inequality, right? What was reported 3 months ago, the top 50 billionaires in Malaysia, top 50 richest Malaysians had their net wealth increased by 14%, right? You look at the glove companies, I mean, they are profiteering in the unbelievable amount, but we're so scared to tax them. But yet we talk about taxing the middle class all the time. So I mean, how is it fair to say that young person is lazy, you know, or is a generation is mollycoddled? But when you look deeper, we are an asset-light generation. We are burdened by so many different jobs. We must also take up the national debt and service it. We must also pay for our parents' and grandparents' retirement. And above and beyond that, we are entering an even more unstable job market with minimal wage, an undignified wage, and an unclear job prospect without the ability to get pension or a good income to put in for savings. I mean, if you think that is a comfortable generation, then I think there's something wrong.
Well, you know what is going through the boomers who are here, who's listening to this? They, in their head, started like this young guy is bickering, no different from the others. Basically, that's what they are hearing. It's blaming the boomers, it's blaming the Gen X.
No, and this is what I want to correct. I don't want to create a generation war. No, if anything, right? Malaysia is where it's at today because of those who worked before. It is our parents' generation. Our parents' generation showed that multiracialism and unity is possible. Moderation is a way to guide Malaysia forward. We had 10 good years of like 10% GDP growth per annum, right? And that's where we were seen to be one of the economic giants in Asia once. And then we got stuck in the cocoon of mediocrity. But to get out of this, we must also acknowledge that young people have a big role to play in a nation building agenda. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying, all young people, old people, you have no role. That's not true. If anything, unity is the way forward. However, for genuine unity to take place, treat young people as people with dignity, as nation builders, not as those who are subpar to those who are older just because we are young. So that's all I'm asking for.
Okay, well, this has been an issue that has been there and nobody wants to address. Everybody keep telling that the boomers and the Gen X need to accept the millennials and see how we could work with them to build the nation. But in one line, if you want to say, nobody is telling the millennials what you should do, because there's a gap. It's not a gap that is forcefully created. It is a gap that just happened to be there because of the different generation that we grew up in. So what would you tell the young ones here, just in one line? What can you say to yourself, or what can you say to them in order for you to manage that gap? You get what I'm saying?
Instead of fighting them all the time, prove them wrong through our success and through our skills. That's the best way. Those who are much older than us, they're not unreasonable. Once they see we're able to defy the expectation, they will support us. And I've witnessed it many times. Remember, I mean, I worked with the oldest prime minister in Malaysia's history or in the world's history. And obviously there was a lot of skepticism then. And I knew that he challenged me in so many ways. A lot of people didn't know, but when I worked for him prior to elections for 2 years, I wasn't paid a single cent. Instead, I had to get someone else to help, at least pay me an income so that I can survive, because he wanted to challenge me. Or am I really serious in this? Or am I just like, someone who's lazy and who just wants money? But I didn't give up. And I seized whatever opportunity comes my way and prove them wrong to our success. Simple things, right? We know we are the generation of disruptors. If we want to follow the same path taken by our parents and grandparents, we will never be able to achieve success unless we wait for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. However, what we do have is our passion, willpower, ability to think out of the box. What we don't have money and we don't have the financial firepower, we don't have the networking skills like those who are 40 years older than us and all the networks which they built through the decades. And we don't have the level of experience which they have. But what we don't have, we make up with what we do have. We are passionate, we are ridiculously hardworking, we dare to think out of the box. And if they don't listen to us, we disrupt. We don't just simply kowtow and give up. And that's where you see many conventional companies being disrupted by young tech startups. That's where we see, even in GLCs today, some young people who are given a chance outperforming those who are much older. Malaysians often forget. They think that supporting young people is something new. It's just this millennial agenda. It's not. Do you know that in the 1980s we had the most number of young ministers in their early 30s and chief ministers in their early 30s? The Rahim Tanbi Chiks, the Tan Sri Rais Yatins, the Najib Razaks, so many, right, who were in their early 30s. I mean, we had a Panglima Angkatan Tentera, the head of the Navy, who's a non-Malay and who's also already the chief of the Navy in early 30s, 35, 36 years old. We can, Malaysia didn't suddenly burn and suddenly Muslims and Malays all suffered. And then suddenly, our military strength went down because it was given to a young person. So I mean, we've done it so many times before, and that was during our best days. Remember the 1998 the Asian financial crisis. You know who helped pivot our GLCs out of bankruptcy? It was the young corporates, people like Shari Reza, the former Khazanah managing director, who in his early 30s was given a chance to save many GLCs. The head of Media Prima then was very young. Many of those who saved the banks are those who were young then. So I mean, we've done it in politics, we've done it in the military, we've done it in civil service, we've done it in the business sector. So why is it any different today? So do not fall into the trap into believing that fighting for young people and representation is a millennial agenda. In reality, it has served Malaysia so well before. And let us not forget that the architect or the modern architect of Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew, led the country in his early 30s. And look where Singapore is at today.
Thanks, YB. That was a good advice. The next question is a problem that even I had growing up. This country's education system somehow has trained us not to voice out. We have been a generation of Malaysians who quietly move away. We don't want to voice out in public when something is wrong. We don't stand out and say what we believe in. So the question here is, what do I tell the guy next to me to voice out? If you think it's not right, voice out. But at the same time, people also want to know, how do I voice out and not get into trouble? How do I voice out and not get chased out of this room? What advice would you give them?
One is to always keep in our heart and mind that the only thing it takes for evil to win is for good people to remain silent. In the end, the national narrative will be driven by those who are noisiest, and never allow that to happen. We must be noisy as well. Your views matter. And especially in a maturing democracy like Malaysia, no matter what has happened, I think we are maturing as a country democratically. Our voice matters, not just through elections, but in social media, in talking to our friends and family members, in our WhatsApp groups, in the short videos and TikToks which we make. Everything matters. And I've seen an explosion of creativity in sharing our views during these past few months, like never before, on all platforms and largely driven by young people. And that's great because it holds people in check, people in decision-making positions like me in check. And that's good because power is in the hands of the people and can never be controlled by the political and corporate elites. So my suggestion, never ever be afraid to speak up, and keep in mind that your silence indirectly could contribute to the triumph of evil. So speak up. The second thing behind it as well, it's perfectly fine for people to feel some level of fear, but you notice that fear will evaporate once you have that critical mass, a number of people. So it's almost like a game theory, right? If you don't act, someone else will not act, but once you do, someone else will as well. But who will be that first mover? So break through that wall of fear in front of you, right? While you may think, oh my God, maybe I'm the only one who thinks like this. Oh no. I mean, you have to break it, right? Only when you try, that's when you know that many others out there actually think like you. And I think obviously there's a great need for overhaul of education. I mean, we cannot be a country of mediocrity. The fact that today, I mean, a lot of people think that the problem with Malaysia's education is funding. It's not. If you look at percentage to per capita GDP contribution in education, Malaysia is actually double the amount of Japan and significantly higher than Singapore. I'm talking about per capita, not talking about GDP per se. So actually we spend quite a lot, but we're getting mediocre outcomes. And that's where I think there must be an overhaul. But for that overhaul to happen, we need to have that honest discourse, right? We need to have honest discourse in primary and secondary schools. What are the subjects which we'll focus on? Will we still focus on unnecessary subjects, or where does religion play a role? Primary, secondary, and universities. Is it after class? Is it optional? Or do you want to keep on increasing the contact hours till a point that it overtakes the contact hour for maths and science, which is happening today because in other countries, the contact hour for maths and science is significantly higher than what we teach in Malaysia every week. So there must be an honest discussion about that. If no one dares to talk about it, we'll never move forward. In universities, why in Malaysia, government, mind you, has subsidized 90% of your public education tuition fees, 90%, right? So that's where for you to get a degree in Malaysia in a public university, total is less than 30,000 ringgit, right? In comparison to the US, which is ridiculously expensive, UK, ridiculously expensive. However, why does it take 5 to 6 years for us to get a degree, but in the UK, it only takes 4 years? Why? Because we have so many of these unnecessary, outdated subjects in every single course. Doesn't matter whether you become an architect, you want to become a lawyer, you want to become a lecturer, you have to take this Islamic empire, this religious courses, subject civic, kenegaraan. I mean, seriously, you are an adult, you are in university, if you still don't know your religion, you don't know your language, then evidently the education system has failed. You shouldn't be wasting your time learning this, and the government should not be subsidizing these courses. Make it optional if need be. If it's really good, people will join, right? Make it optional. But it's better to allow the person to graduate in 4 years with a degree so that then he can be as competitive to those who graduate in Vietnam, in India, in the Philippines, in the UK, because in 4 years' time, they would have graduated from their university. In comparison, in Malaysia, you need the additional 2 years, right? To graduate in 2 years, your competitors abroad would have gotten 2 years of experience in the workforce, multiple internships, already have a stable job, while we are just entering the job market. However, expecting Malaysian graduates to be as competitive to those in India, China, Philippines, Vietnam, and the like. We must be better. But if you don't dare to talk about this, then it's tough for us to move forward.
A lot of us think the same too, YB. It's just that voicing out has been a challenge. So I hope that the younger generation would start voicing out. There's a lot of questions coming in. Guys, we will try to take as many questions as we can. Those we are not able to take, my apologies. We do have a limited time. YB, there's a young, good-looking girl here who wants to ask a different question. She wants to know, what is your daily routine like? Do you wake up at 5 a.m. and start your day and go jogging and do your thing or whatsoever? She also wants to know, how do you remain calm and collected when you open the news and there's so many things being said about you, good things and bad things as well? So good things, of course, everybody gets into a good mood when they read good things about themselves, but you also reading bad news. How do you control your sanity? How do you move on with that day's program after being pulled down emotionally that particular morning?
Yeah, thank you. I actually have a very strict daily schedule, which I've carried out since my debating days. So whenever I wake up in the morning after performing my subuh prayer, I'll go jogging. I'll jog for about 3 to 5 kilometers, depending on my mood that day. When I'm in the toilet, people always complain, I spend so much time in the toilet, but when I'm in the toilet, I'm very focused in the morning. What I'll do, I'll read BBC and Al Jazeera, and then in afternoon, I'll read Malaysian papers and also Malaysian online portals, and at night I will do research on a particular heated topic that day. And I've done this since my debate days, and I carried it with me until today. And if I can't exercise in the morning, I must exercise once I'm back from work at about 5:30, 6 p.m. Even if I only put in a 30 minutes or 1 hour schedule, I'll do it. And now I've picked up a high intensity training HIIT. So in reality, you only need 20 minutes of intense workout, and that will work. And you can just Google it on YouTube and you'll find many different interesting HIIT courses. I have that. Pardon?
Ini kisah benar ni, YB, ya?
Kisah benar. So I do that because, like when I was in military school, that level of discipline gives some level of certainty in my life, and that helps as well. How I deal with the pressure, that's something which I did not have since I was young, but I learned throughout the experiences which I faced. When I was in military school, when I joined debating, and mind you, debating is a is actually a ridiculously exhausting activity, because you have to work and train so hard because it's highly competitive, especially when you go to the global level, and you know that you are left so far behind in comparison to your international peers, and therefore you have to work so much harder to be just as good as them. But then I got used to it, and when I joined debating and when I joined politics, being in politics, you must learn how to accept criticism with an open heart. Some criticisms will be constructive, some criticisms just do not make sense. It'll be like, babi, bodoh, babi, kau mak kau tak guna. And I faced all of that. So I learned how to compartmentalize, right? Like some of the noise, which has no value behind it, but at the same time, I don't just discount it. If they say it, the anger must come from somewhere. And I cannot just, kau salah, aku betul, The worst thing which can happen to a politician is when they think that they are always right and everyone else is wrong. And they don't know how to pivot and when to pivot. So I learned it. To be honest, it's not something which I had since I was young. But as I mentioned during my speech at the beginning, when your heart is in the right place, all will go well. Because even if you fail, even if you get condemned, even if you face 1,000 barriers in front of you, but when you know your heart is in the right place, you can face them, right? Because you know that winning or achieving the end is never the ultimate journey, because it's not easy. It takes time. But throughout that journey, you enjoy it. It is a meaningful process that while you are challenged and confronted with new problems, instead of turning back, you'll take a sledgehammer and break that wall and keep on moving forward no matter how hard it gets. So that's how I do it.
Okay, YB, you heard that, you young guys, you guys are on social medias, and social media is where people just say what they want to say. So whatever you read, don't take it seriously. Move on with your life. That's more important. What they say should not disturb you emotionally at all. YB, we're running short of time. I'll have a few more other questions, YB. One of the questions is from one of our Rotary members, Leslie Salahuddin. He wants to know, the English agenda has been an agenda that has been spoken by the Ministry of Education for the longest period. But until today, the quality of English in this country is really not there. What can we do to push this agenda further?
I think there are a few key things, right? I mean, from a policy framework, one is we need to increase the level of contact hours towards English education from nursery or Tadika. It must start at a very young age in all nurseries across Malaysia, regardless whether it's privately owned or publicly run. And then when you enter primary and secondary education, we need to increase the contact hours for English education. Above and beyond that, we need to learn how to trim unnecessary or optional subjects and make it after class education and optional, for parents to teach at home or for tuitions. But at school, you keep the core subjects: English, math, science, history, etc. And then I think in university, we shouldn't be focusing on language. University, by then you should already know it. We must also look at having, there's a big discussion about PPSMI, and I come from the generation of PPSMI, teaching maths and science and English. So obviously the pros and cons behind it. However, even with PPSMI, but without sufficient early exposure to English, especially in Tadika or nursery education, and I still think it will not be enough.
Okay.
So the summary to it is, there must be policy reforms on all levels that people treat English a lot more seriously, and for Malaysians to learn how to detach politics with policy reforms. You think really it was easy for Singapore under Lee Kuan Yew, which was a country where the ethnic Chinese was in a majority, to mandate English, in all schools, and making that the language of business, the language of education, the language of all transactions. It was never easy, but he did it. In the end, it became the unifying language for all races, right? And there was no obviously he faced problems as well for multiple different groups, ethnic groups, but in the end, it's very focused. It's more about how do I get my country to be super employable, to pivot to become a developed country. Malaysia can do better.
Thanks, YB. We will continue to keep on hoping. YB, our time is up. So
Yeah.
I would like to say thank you very much for your valuable time, for giving us this Sunday afternoon to us. I hope the rest of them had a lot of learning from your session as well. So before I hand over to our district trainer, Karthi Palaniasamy, to give a word of thanks to you, I would like to just say something that would please a lot of people. I know you'll be happy to hear it. So YB, hidup Johor YB.
Oh. Johor belah mana? Which part of Johor are you from?
Johor Baru, YB.
Oh, dekat lah. Okay. Okay, thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, thank you. Karthi, over to you.
Thank you, CK. I'm from Sentul, so I don't understand this Bangsa Johor thingy. So, but just listening to Saddiq for the last 1 hour 15 minutes, a few things come to mind. He talks about a few strong things that we all should live up to. He talks about follow your heart. He talks about moral conscience. He talks about willpower, and he uses this word very, very often, ridiculously, right? And he talks about willpower to work ridiculously hard. I think that's very, very important. But most of the participants here are young adults between 22 and 32. But some of us are older Rotarians who are here. We want to know, in December 2020, you shave your hair bald. How the hell do you get so much of hair now?
I think this is God's intervention to ensure I can do another round of fundraising.
You should. We learned a lot, and I think one of the more important things is how to cheat in the medical test, how to avoid being ragged in school. So, YB, thank you very, very much. It was an excellent sharing session with the young adults here. This Rotary Youth Leadership Program is all about how we empower young adults. Your advice of ridiculously working hard makes a lot of sense. On behalf of all the participants here, on behalf of all the Rotarians here, we'd like to present you this certificate of appreciation, a digital certificate for sharing the last 1.5 hours with you. Thank you very much, YB, Syed, Saddiq.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Hopefully I'll see you all in person next round. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll make a move now.
Maybe before the speaker list, could we have a group photo?
Sure. Dr. B, can you assist with that? May I request all participants to turn on your videos? Dr. B here, or is it Raj?
Could be Raj.
Raj, boleh tolong?
Dr. B je lah. Okay guys, smile. A few pages, so don't stop smiling. First page, moving to second. Moving to third. Girls, adjust your hair fast. Fourth page. All right.
Thank you, Raj. Okay, thank you so much, Karthi. Thank you, YB, Syed, Saddiq, for making time to empower our young leaders. And thank you, CK, for moderating the excellent session just now. Just before we move on to the next segment, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our event sponsor for RYLA 2020-2021, Yayasan Kelab-Kelab Rotary Malaysia. Chairman of Yayasan Kelab-Kelab Rotary Malaysia is also with us today, past Governor Dr. Paul Sikeli, and also our t-shirt sponsors, Rotary Club of Subang, Rotary Club of Bandar, Sungai, Petani, and Rotary Satellite Club of Pudu, Millennials. Thank you for your kind sponsorship. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the much anticipated segment of RYLA 2020-2021. RYLA finalists have spent the past 2 weeks brainstorming, exchanging ideas, researching, planning and practicing with their respective teams to put together the ultimate project ideas proposal. Each group had to zero in a specific Rotary's area of focus and come up with a ready to execute project idea proposal. The RYLA finalists had discussed, formulate, and organized with funding and budget, organizing charts, needs analysis, timelines, roadmaps, and execution rollout plan to put together a proposal that is realistic, relevant, and achievable. Each group was assigned a facilitator and a Rotary Club as resource. Now, I would like to introduce to you our esteemed panel of judges for project ideas. We have Dato Bindi Rajasegaran, Governor of Rotary International District 3300 Malaysia, year 2021-2022.
Hi,
Dr.
hi everyone.
Kumar. Hi, Governor. Thank you for joining us. Dr. Krishna Kumar, Governor of Rotary International District 3300 Malaysia, year 2022-2023.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome, Dr. Krishna. Dato Dr. Siva Anandan, Governor of Rotary International District 3300 Malaysia, year 2023-2024.
Hello, everybody. Look forward to your presentation.
So there you go, guys. We have 3 succeeding leaders of the district on the panel of judges. Now, each team will have 7 minutes to present your project idea. Raj will ring the bell once at the 5th minute to remind you that you have 2 minutes to wrap up your presentation, and 3 times at the 7th minute where the team need to end their presentation. After the presentation, the panel of judges are given 3 minutes to ask any questions to the team regarding the project idea. We will go in sequence, starting from group 1 to group 8. So the next team, please be on standby with your presentation while the team before you is presenting. Do ensure you have your group prefix before your name and ensure you have your video on so we can stand by to pin you before your presentation. So all the best to all 8 teams. We will start first with group 1, RYLA Rangers. Guys ready to share screen? Who's the team leader?
Prashant.
Prashant, okay. And what's the area of focus for your project idea today?
Education.
Sorry, group 1, before you start, I can't spotlight Vijay because his video is switched off. So if you guys can WhatsApp him and ask him to switch on his video. Vijay.
Will Vijay be presenting also?
No, it's just us.
Oh, Vijay is a Rotarian. He's not part of the team, right?
And ask him to remove the G1, please.
Okay, then you can.
Okay.
Yes, you can share your screen.
Okay. Who's sharing screen? Group 1. All right, Prashant. Okay, are you ready? Group 1. Okay, all right, now you have exactly 7 minutes to present and your time starts now. All the best.
A very good afternoon to all Rotarian mentors, my dear friends. We are from RYLA Rangers Group 1. Our project is Project No Ashaj, and our discussion is on sexual education and family planning. Rotary area of focus that we pick for our project is basic education and literacy. On the next slide, we have been facilitated by Mr. CK and Mr. Vijay. These are our team members, as ladies and gentlemen can see on the second slide. Moving into the 4th slide, the sexual education is teaching about human sexuality, and on the other hand, family planning is the practice of controlling the number of children. Moving into the 5th slide, in our need analysis, 90% respondents say that sexual education is not taught in school. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know that 100 babies dumped annually? Police indicated that 1 case reported every 3 days and 1,800 underage girls fall pregnant per year. It could be your friend, neighbor, or sister, or even your own brother. Yes, men can sexually assault too. We really feel very shocked when we read research on this. What is more shocking is 100 babies dumped annually. The babies did not do any wrong, right? This is so unfair. This is so alarming. On the next slide, we have identified associations that actively engaging with people in Malaysia in sexual education And we intend to complement their work to create awareness and co-organize events with a better outreach via established NGOs in rural tribal areas in the East Coast region of Kelantan and Terengganu in Peninsular Malaysia. As ladies and gentlemen can see on this slide, this is our potential partners that we want to collaborate. On the 7th slide, this is our strategy on advocating reproductive health. Firstly, couples have to be proactive about their own health. Couples are advised to have regular checkups, manage any medical condition that they have. If couples are not ready to have children, it is advisable to always use contraception. They have to see a doctor if they suspect that they may have a contracted STDs and inform their partners immediately. Our next strategy is by educating the public on the early symptoms of STDs. These are the messages that we want to deliver to the young adults. Moving into the next slide. What's the buzz? On this slide, we will look at the objective of carrying out this project. First objective is to increase the awareness about sex education among young adults. Secondly, to break the stigma on sex education. Our third objective is to reduce unplanned pregnancies, STD, by delivering sexual education on protected sex. It is very important to stop the hush and start the buzz. I will pass the time now to the next presenter, Mr. Ashel.
Thank you, Lecturer Mandan. I will now proceed to present to you about our roadmap and rollout plan. As you all can see from the slides, we have two approaches, both online and offline. We plan to launch our project using the 4 platforms that we will be engaging with, namely via our website, special speakers, social media campaigns, as well as a help day. Next slide. Firstly, our plan is to launch a website where all the information relating to the topics of reproductive health and family planning will be posted on it. Next, we would like to get professional speakers and experts in this area to enable the participants and the audience to engage with this topic, especially in getting the youths to feel comfortable in opening up and talking about these issues. Furthermore, we would launch a social media campaign in order for the wider community to be aware about our project. And lastly, we would organize a health day, particularly in the rural areas of Kelantan and Terengganu, as statistics have repeatedly showed that the bulk of the STDs and the lack of family planning tend to occur in these regions. The healthcare will be a physical event. So ladies and gentlemen, as you all can see from the slides, those are the various contents that we intend to cover on the website. The reason as to why we are doing it, so that it will be much easier for the public to get and process the information systematically instead of getting all the wrong and inaccurate information from other sources. And we plan to do the website in dual language of English and Malay so that it can cater to a wider audience. Next slide, please. Next would be the special speakers. And we intend to invite speakers from amongst the medical professionals, survivors, and youth advocates. This session will be conducted in the form of webinars, in the form of a series of webinars, and we also plan to have physical events with the speakers once the pandemic is over. Next slide, please. Next would be the social media campaigns. This is where our major focus is going to be. As part of this campaign, we would be making videos, either by having a protractor interacting with a professional in this area, or we may even make a short film highlighting the issues and ways in order to tackle this problem and post it in the social media networking sites. Additionally, we also intend to get other Rotarians involved and put their pictures on the posters supporting our project, like the posters which you can see on my right of the slide. Next slide, please. Lastly, it would be the Health Day, and that will be organized in the rural and tribal areas throughout the states of Kelantan and Terengganu. It will be a physical program, and our main aim is to bring awareness of this issue to the community over there, and it may consist in the form of games, health screening, talks, family counseling, financial consultancy, and so on and so forth. Next slide, please. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see from the slide, this is the basic internal structure of how we plan to organize the project, with the Rotary Club of Central Damansara being the host of this project. Next slide. The timeline. Next slide, please. The timeline of the project. As you can see, we have splitted our goal into 3 within the next 6 months upon approval of this project, the next 1-2 years, and beyond the 2 years time frame. Within the next 6 months, we plan to launch the website as well as have some numerous virtual engagement seminars where we will gauge the interest and success of this program through surveys, which will be carried out after the seminars. We would then, within the next 1-2 years, proceed with the social media campaigns, followed by the physical event of the Health Day, achievable within the next 3 years. Next slide, please. Lastly, this is our proposal for the funding as well as the budgeting of the program. Without boring you all too much, I briefly would like to convey that our funding would mainly come from social crowdfunding, corporate sponsors, Rotary grants, and public donations, collectively the 4 sources. This is a non-exhaustive list, meaning we plan to be looking for funding beyond the collective 4 as well. When preparing the funding and budgeting and coming up with the figures, we kept in mind of the sustainability of the project and that the project can run on its own and generate its own revenue in the long term. Next slide, please.
Time's up.
And now we have come to the finale of the presentation. We would like to end our presentation with our tagline, stop the hush and start the buzz, to reinforce the education of reproductive education and family planning. Thank you to all Rotarians for being patient enough to listen to our proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, RYLA Rangers. Do we have any questions from the judges? I love the logo, by the way. Very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, very quickly, was there any numbers in the number of beneficiaries that will benefit?
We have not had the time to do the survey with regards to the numbers, but it will be a very high number. Lecturer Mana had earlier presented that about 1,008 underage girls fall pregnant every year, and that 100+ babies are dumped annually. And this statistic shows that a bulk of these figures comes in the 2 states alone. With regards to the exact statistics, I do not have it right now with me. But the bulk of the cases are from these 2 states.
Okay, thanks. And any more questions from
Gigi? I have a question for you, RYLA Rangers. I looked at your needs analysis and you seem to focus quite a lot on this teenage pregnancy and babies being dumped. And yet, part of your strategy for dealing with it is to look at STDs. I don't see the connection. How does educating people on sexually transmitted diseases avoid unwanted pregnancies?
No, unwanted pregnancy is just is another part of the problem, and STDs is also another part of the problem due to the lack of reproductive education in the system. So these are 2 separate problems. So we aim to tackle these problems going back to the issue of the lack of reproductive education.
But you didn't give us any data on young people having a lot of STDs, right? You gave us some facts and figures, but nothing concrete on it. Do you have any data on that?
I do not have with me right now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
All right.
You seem to have a reasonably good roadmap and rollout plan, but have you assigned the task? Who is going to do what is part of your rollout plan?
Yeah, once we get the approval from the Rotary Club of Central Damansara, we tend to actually lead the program with assistance from our mentor club, the Rotary Club of Central Damansara. So we will actually run the program.
You haven't shown that yet here. Who's going to do what?
No, yeah, but once we get the approval, once we finalize things out, then from there we will plan. So we plan to take it step by step first. Thank you. Hope that answers your question.
Okay, well done, group 1. Any more questions? No? Then we can go to the next group. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, RYLA Rangers, and thank you, judges. Now, I would like to call upon group 2, Aqua Rangers.
Did you test the bell just now?
Yes, many times. I think I'll just, okay, can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear now.
Okay.
Sounds like the temple bell.
I was banging the bell to my head, that's how you can hear. You ask the Indian fellow to bring a bell, what do you expect?
Who will be sharing screen?
Me.
Okay. You can start your share screen. All right, you have 7 minutes to present your project ideas proposal, and your time starts now.
Good day to the judges and everyone. Our focus of area is water, sanitation and hygiene. Our project title for today is Providing Potable and Water Filters in School at Rural Areas in Pahang. We are Group 2, the Aqua Rangers. As you can see, here's our organization chart. Our advisor is from the Rotary Club of Indra Makota, past President Rotarian Rajasegaran and President Sureshan. Our facilitator, Shirley Ho. I'm Ravina, the head of Aqua Rangers and Funding and Budget. My friend Jivitra, head of project and technical researcher, and Megan, head of operation and assistant project head. So a short brief about our project is there has been rise of water pollution in the rural areas in Pahang, which has caused diseases, improper hygiene, and lack of sanitation to the people over there. Therefore, we have come to this objective where to provide clean water along with to increase the productivity to the teachers and students in the school by installing water filter in every school over there. So here's the need analysis. River is, as we all know, river is the main domestic water supply in Malaysia, where it uses 99% of water from river and 1% from groundwater. And as we know, we have been facing many problems such as frequent flooding, rain clogging, river pollution, logging, and many more. According to Malaysian Reserve, it is stated that mining and logging activities in Pahang has caused up to 2,816 hours of water supply. This is caused due to heavy metal in the river caused by the factory surrounding. As you can see, here's a result done by by students from University Pahang last year. We can see here that the presence of heavy metal, the presence of bacteria, the presence of discoloration is very high. Therefore, there is an urgent and it's important that for us to fill in to have the filter. Well, we have done our research. We found that among 600 researchers done, there's only about very few done towards on East Malaysia on water pollution, and there is no survey done on the number of students which are affected. The effects of water pollution is caused by contaminated water and poor sanitation, where it can bring many diseases such as cholera, diarrhea, and many more. Globally, about 15% of patients admitted in the hospital are affected due to not drinking clean water, and about 829,000 people to die from diarrhea. Therefore, this has been proven that there is an urgent need of water. When we came to an assumption that school children will definitely be affected too. As you can see here, this is the drinking water, the measurement of accurate pH and necessary minerals for a proper drinking water. I'm passing over to Jivitra.
You're very soft, Jivitra.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Very
No.
soft.
You're very soft.
Connect to my phone.
We can't hear you at all.
Can I connect to my phone?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, so I can see the flow of water filter and operating pressure. The pump will with the meter pressure. One water filter will pump the
Sorry,
You are echoing, huh?
Jivitra.
Jivitra, you need to mute one device.
Yeah, you are echoing.
Okay, with the differential pressure of 4 meters of the height, so the filter water will go to all drinking taps and you all will get filter water drinking. And then moving on to our next is the estimate time of implementation. Fundraising will be October to December 2021. Our project preparation will be in January 2022. Then we have a tender process and vendor selection from 15 February to 15 March 2022 for 1 month. And then our construction, we decided that one school will take 10 days. So we have 10 schools. So we'll start our construction on 1st of June till 10th of September 2022. And the full operation will be done by the 15th of September 2022. Our location of
Can't hear you, Jivitra.
this
Can't hear you.
Ravina, maybe just take over this portion.
Okay, I'll just take over. Our project location, there is around selected schools
project
in
will be in
Pahang.
3 areas in Pahang, which is
We can't hear you, Jivitra.
Okay, it's okay. I'll just take over. The project location will be in selected schools in Pekan, Kuantan, and Bera. And our beneficiary is towards the school students and teacher. Estimated cost of project is 102,000. And the capacity we are planning on 500 liter per square. Next, I'm passing over.
Hi, so for the price breakdown for each school is stated in this slide, and the total cost estimation for each school is about 100K and 2,000. We decided to use this ER outdoor water filter because it's affordable and effective in filtering the water. It also requires low maintenance and it only has to be backwashed weekly. The method of backwashing is basically to run like water through the output of an opening of the filter. From my research, some students tend to drink the water directly from the taps, and with this outdoor filter, it's actually safe enough to be consumed. We will also provide each school with the economic water cooler, which enables the water hygiene to be maximized, thus providing a reliable water drinking system. Next slide, please. There are also many ways to raise the funds. We are looking to get about 15K from our corporate companies that has been displayed in front of you. We are estimating 15K from each corporate company, and we'll be requesting 5K from the Pahang government, 25K from the Rotary International Grant, 10K from the public, and 5K from the school and local councils, which give us a total 102,000. So here are the benefits that we'll get from this project. Yeah, it's all stated here. Thank you.
Time's up.
Perfect timing. All right, thank you guys. Judges, do you have any questions for our participants?
Oh, sorry, Governor, please proceed.
Okay, you showed WHO data, but I missed any local data. Was there anything on local data?
As for now, as I mentioned during our need analysis, there are very few data done on student affected. Therefore, we couldn't find any, and I inserted on the WHO.
Okay, thank you. Over to you, DJ.
Yeah, my question is, you've gone with the battery filter. Did you do a study of the different types of filters, and why didn't you provide us with a breakdown on why you went with this particular filter?
Because I did some research and we actually get like price quotation from them as well, because the maintenance is very low, which is good for the school. They don't have to pay so much. And as I have mentioned, it only has to be backwashed weekly, so which can be done easily. Yeah.
What about constructing your own kind of sedimentary filter that lasts much longer?
I'm not too sure about that. I was just thinking maybe we just get the more effective one for them, which is easier for them as well to manage.
Yeah, my question is, how do you make that determination that it is more effective? That's my question.
More effective. Well, it's not that I don't believe in myself. I believe in like suppliers. They do a better job than me. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No problem. Thank you.
Also, just to add on, for that filter, the school can take on the cost, like, because it's very minimal. We don't need to have like, unless it's broken, then we would need to replace a new one.
Going back
but what I'm sorry.
Okay,
carry on.
Carry on.
No, it's just that there are much cheaper filters that and Backtree is one of the more expensive ones. That's why I was curious why you chose it.
Yeah,
Okay,
we are. Oh, okay, sorry.
Your answer? Kidding.
Because we are getting as in we are getting the filter at a buck. So as in like in a few, so we get like the wholesale price, which is actually quite cheap for the market price. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, going back to your needs analysis again, you didn't have, like just now you said, water quality analysis done locally. But what is done by WHO is just a worldwide standard. It's very difficult to assess. But did you do any research, phone calls, anything to find out how many of the schools in that locality actually had filters? Maybe they already had their own type of filters. The raw water might not be so good, but the school system might already have put in some sort of filters of their own. So did you all do any sort of a research, a survey to find out whether the schools that you all want to in that locality had this kind of filters before you supply them? Was anything done? No.
Well, we actually we did try searching online. We did not personally contact the schools, but we did try searching online, and there were very like minimal results from what we can find on it. And also we did based on research done recently last year by the students from Kuantan, and it's proven that not all schools is using this filtered one. Therefore, we decided to provide filters on selected schools in 3 locations.
Because the danger is that the school that you might want to provide may already have a filter system of its own provided, given by somebody else or by the school authorities. You do not know, you see. That is the danger. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Back to you, moderator.
Thank you, Governor. And thank you, Aqua Rangers and judges. Now we will move on to group 3, Plant It Right. Go group 3. My group.
Is not
One
spotlighted.
person. We have Wei Ching.
There's only 2 G3.
I'm here.
Ching,
I'm
can you
here.
put in G3 before your name?
I did put group 3.
G3, my dear.
Okay, hold on.
It's okay.
What's the name of this group again, please?
Plant It Right.
Plant It Right, okay.
Who's sharing screen?
Is the screen not shared yet?
No, not yet.
So shared now?
Yes. All right, you have 7 minutes and your time starts now.
Very good afternoon, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about growing local economies, and we're going to talk about Plant It Right, specifically introducing permaculture to the Orang Asli communities. Hello, my name is Faye. With me, I have Wei Ching and Ruvanesh. Today, we're going to talk about 5 different things. First, how do we grow the Orang Asli communities through permaculture? Secondly, the roadmap to making a change. Thirdly, the people involved in that change. Fourthly, the return on capital. And fifthly, what is the ultimate impact? So when we talk about growing Orang Asli communities through permaculture, how can we do it? We want to introduce a simple but stable way of generating income. But first of all, we need to know how are the Orang Aslis in Malaysia. So 13.8% of our total Malaysians are actually Orang Aslis, and almost all of which are in the B40 group. Now, currently, they have a lot of land, but their land rights are being challenged by corporations. The Orang Aslis were not born into an accessible environment. Take, for example, their mindset and upbringing. They were never taught to pursue their dreams or to make sure that they get good education to earn a lot of money. They also have limited access to opportunities, mainly because they are situated pretty far from the city, and that gives rise to logistical and technological barriers. And because of this, there are limited capitals such as knowledge capital and financial capitals. Now let's talk about what they have.
Yes, you want to leverage on what they have. As you know, the Orang Asli community have access to abundance of natural resources. They have an abundance of land which are protected but underdeveloped, a strong community having capable individuals but underskilled. Traditions include existing agricultural knowledge that has been passed on for generations but never improved or innovated.
The analysis brings us to how can we improve the Orang Asli community, and we believe that our project will be able to empower the Orang Asli to be independent and self-sustainable by giving them the opportunity through agriculture. This will not only give them a steady source of income, it will also give them an opportunity to be exposed to the outside world. And in long term, this will definitely improve their quality of life. Moving on. So introducing permaculture. What is permaculture? Permaculture stands for permanent culture. It's an agricultural ecosystem that's intended to be sustainable and self-sufficient. It is easily adopted. It strengthens local economies, and it definitely gives a better tomorrow.
Now the question comes down to how it can help the Orang Asli community. With permaculture, they can grow their own food, which helps with poverty elevation. They would be able to feed themselves, meeting their basic needs and personal needs, since permaculture incorporates a more organic growing method that will in turn fetch a higher premium in the market. Furthermore, permaculture would be a stable and resilient investment as it provides consistent yield, relying on diversity of crops and build up natural capital.
So what happens when you add permaculture into the Orang Asli community? Now we're creating a no-waste cycle, meaning to say we're taking the waste from one plot of land and reusing it in another plot of land. So this not only reduces the cost for purchasing external fertilizers, but it also enriches the land. Then we're also integrating the current system and diversity that the people of the Orang Asli communities have. We're utilizing the land that is currently undeveloped and we're changing that land into cash. So ultimately, we want to play the long-term game. We want to build a system that produces small but sustainable yields with the benefits that unfold over time. So let's talk about the roadmap to making that change. So over here, we can split it into two parts. Firstly, the introduction phase, and nextly, the actual sustainable economic cycle. So when we talk about introduction, it is usually a one-time outreach to understand and engage with the Orang Asli communities as to what they have, what they want, and what they need. Then we're bringing the experts to see what can be developed, and we strategize and coordinate from there onwards. Then we'll bring on to the upskilling stage, whereby we connect the teachers with the students, we'll set up workshops, we'll hold them by the hand, we'll teach them how to plant things right. And of course, close monitoring is essential during the phase-in period.
Now we'll look at the sustainable economic cycle. First, we'll plan on how we can secure funding. This will be further elaborated in the slides after. Secondly, would be the handling of crops, which will entail upkeeping, harvesting, and storage for freshness. And lastly, the cash part. In this part, we'll focus on branding, packaging, transport from farm to consumer, and quality survey for continuous improvement, aka Kaizen, and the cycle repeats. So who are the people involved in making that change?
The people involved in making the change will be the Rotary, the Rotary Club members, where they will be involved in engaging the Orang Asli community. They'll be in charge of executing the project with the Orang Asli community and also to monitor the progress of the Orang Asli community. The corporations, firms, companies, they can also come in and support this initiative as part of their CSR. So these two will be known as the directors.
We now look at our superstars, the Orang Asli community and the business partners. In the Orang Asli community, we want to identify communities with the right mindset, attitude, and the right resources. As for business partner, we will look for partners to handle logistics from farmer to end consumer for the economic cycle to continue. And in the end, it's all about the return on capital. Now the big question is, how are we supposed to get that cash in the first place? 3 ways. Pitching to companies to secure funds from their CSR budget, crowdfunding on crowdfunding platforms, social media, and etc. And lastly, applying for both district grant and global ComServe grant.
Now, where will all these funds be used on? Most importantly, we want that land to be fertile. We want that crops to be very beautiful and marketable. So most of the costs will be included into landscaping costs such as fencing, waterway construction, composting, and purchasing planting utensils. But other than that, other administrative costs such as logistic costs, consultation with experts, daily necessities during the phasing period, and other promotional setup costs will be necessary as well.
What will Orang Asli community get in return? So in the Orang Asli community itself, they will get food for their internal consumption. They will gain transferable skills, and they will also be sustainable economically. And externally, they will have crops to be sold to the outside market, online or offline, and it also integrates them to the outside world and community.
So what is the ultimate impact of this proposal? We are here to serve the changed lives. Permaculture not only preserves, but also enriches their natural resources. We're providing them with a self-sustaining source of food, and on top of them, providing them the ability to source their own income independently. With this introduction of a business proposal to the Orang Asli communities, we are providing them the exposure to social and technological advancements. And with that, they'll be able to improve the quality of life and instill a growth mindset. With this, they understand that dedication and hard work will be able to improve their overall social and economical standing. Thank you, and that is our presentation today. Remember to plant it right. Thank you, plant it right. Now, judges, do you have any questions for our participants?
Okay, you have come out with a reasonably good plan on permaculture, but you know, the Orang Asli, their lifestyle is quite different, okay? Now, you might come out with a good plan, but how do you plan to come out to get them to buy into your plan? They must be willing to, you might provide them all the things and tell them the benefits, but because they have been living that way for generations in that way, and most of their lifestyle is just sort of a nomadic lifestyle. They might change places here and there. They might not be fixed in one place. So how do you get them to, do you educate them to buy into your concept? How do you plan to do that?
Yes, we understand on that. So we understand that our district, together with several clubs, we're also actively engaging with the Orang Asli communities. So with this, we plan to actually go in and provide as a special product. So meaning to say, if the current existing projects have already engaged with, let's say, a Muslim kampung, because I know the Orang Asli communities are also split religiously as well. And to cater to what they want, we really have to go in there and actually get to know what they want. So I think Wei Ching can explain from here, because we've already spoken to the experts and they said that it is vital that we go in for a period of time to understand what they want and what they need, then only provide further assistance.
Yes, we have spoken to Bumi Kaseh, and they are a key point in permaculture. So when it comes to Orang Asli community, it's very important to have a continuous engagement, because in the end, they are the one who is going to be maintaining and sustaining the permaculture, the whole farmland. We are just going to be there for a couple of months, hold their hands, and once we leave, who is going to be the one to continue on with the legacy? So I would think continuous engagement is key point in this area. And of course, in Bumi Kaseh have suggested that they will be there for 1 week to learn their culture, to understand the landscape before planning or designing anything. It's really important for them to incorporate their lifestyle, everything, before even taking on the next step. That's it. Thank you.
Do you think you can realistically do that in 1 week? Understand their culture and understand their modus operandi before you plan?
The experts say 1 week. Of course, that's not limited to just 1 week. If more time is needed, he would take that time.
You see, in the Orang Asli community, there are certain priorities. You see, your project will need supply of water, electricity. Have you thought about all those additional factors that need to be given to the Orang Asli community? I don't see all that in your proposal.
Okay, at first we thought of hydroponics, which will require the consumption of electricity. But since it's permaculture, the need for electricity would be negligible in this sense, since all it matters is to nurture the soil, what they have. We are focusing on that.
But why did you consider hydroponics? I mean, when you have an abundance of land, mean, why was
exactly,
that?
Exactly. That's why we.
Yeah, that's why you scrapped the
permaculture.
idea and we focus on permaculture.
I think to clearly address DG Bindi's question as well, when we talk about Orang Asli communities, there's so many different levels. There are people who are really in the dark. They don't even have basic electricity and water supply. But then there are also Orang Asli communities who already have those basic necessities. So what we're targeting here is, of course, with permaculture, I can't help those people who don't have water or electricity supply. But who I can help is specifically the Orang Asli communities who already have this. And what we can do is we can elevate their current social standing and their daily culture, and we introduce them with different skill sets and a sustainable means of generating financial income as well.
Yeah. So, sorry. After you, Krishna.
Do you also have a business plan for them to sell the produce after that? No point they produce the things and then they don't know how to sell it.
Yes, we actually engage with veggies.com.my. They are platform, online and offline platform for selling vegetables, and they are interested. Let's just say our plan does go on and they are producing vegetables. That platform would be able to provide the logistic means for them to sell from farm to consumer.
Yep, that was exactly my question as well. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much,
Okay,
judges.
that's it. All the best to you.
All the best. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, judges, and thank you, Planted Right. Now, I would like to invite Group 4 for real to present your project idea. What is your area of focus, Group 4?
Our area of focus is maternal and child health.
Okay. Are you guys ready? Only the two of you presenting? All right. Okay.
There's two more.
Okay. All?
There's two more. Yeah. One more?
What's her name or his name?
Okay. Yeah,
all right.
Melanie.
Olin?
Okay. All
Okay,
right.
well-
You have 7 minutes to present and your time starts now. All the best, guys.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Now all of us are joining RYLA, but at our home. We work from home. We give speeches from our home, and we even bond with our friends from home. The time we spend on social media is likely to be even more. Next question. It's likely to be even more than before lockdown since we're at home most of the time. Next slide. Every day, we see news of cases rising, people losing jobs, rise in mental health cases. Everyone is suffering, and one of the population that has been severely affected by this pandemic are the single mothers. Next slide. Dina from Rotary Club of Subang have shared with me that some of the single mothers they have projects with have lost their job. Think about this. How are they supposed to feed their child and provide for education? They can't even afford to purchase basic necessities. They need our help. Next.
Yeah, before this crisis, going digital has been the age of business mind, but now it is forced to be at the forefront as a solution. Next. Going digital does not only run through the pandemic, but also into the future. Not going digital now, when others are going for it, how can you ever compete with them in the future? Next. So why going digital is so important? Number one, without a physical store, entrepreneurs can eliminate the cost of rent, the maintenance, and scout for locations, their employees, you can just skip all of that. And secondly, there's a wider customer coverage. It could go and reach a wider crowd of people instead of a localized store where people could just go through the internet with just a click, then we can just find you and place orders and so on. Thirdly, this is the biggest difference with a physical store and a digital store. Social media and digital stores, they collect data of online traffic with readily available tools, which can be further optimize the business and give more informed decisions. Okay, next.
The Rotary Club of Subang has started a project called Bake with Hope for single mothers to kickstart their own business. The Empowering Women Entrepreneurship Project aims to further extend the initiative by providing training to help those 9 women to start their own business online. Next. The team will consist of a project lead who will overlook the entire program, a secretary who will supervise team members and trainers, a finance officer who will prepare budget planning, and lastly, an execution team who will conduct research for appropriate trainers and courses. Next.
Mel, sorry, you're mute. Okay.
Yeah, first of most, our team would like to suggest that these single mothers will be provided 250 to start their social media awareness with a campaign of 150 for the paid advertisement and use for the part campaign, which means each of the campaign costs 30 ringgit, targeting about approximately 1,000 people reach and few numbers of followers and up to 8 inquiry regards to the product they promote. The remaining balance, 100 ringgit, is to prepare the ingredients for their final product, which they will be posted online. Addition to that, we will approach potential influencers such as Chet Nom and Cairo Amin, which also in the baking and culinary present, giving their sharing on how they can start their social media journey and what to post and how to engage with the customer. On this point, Rotary will appoint trainer to provide training and continuous advice to the single mother to improve their social media platform. Next.
Okay, so for the project timeline, first of all, we will have a talk and know more about the single mothers to know their wants, their needs. Then the following week, we'll be having an idea pitch to Rotary Subang, and we have amendments to the pitch before we pitch to the 9 single mothers. And also we will set up a WhatsApp line for communication with them if they have any questions or any suggestions. So from the 5th week onwards, we will start sourcing for funding, the sponsors, volunteers, and trainers for 2 months. Towards the end, also we will be setting up relevant online platforms for the advertising and sales. So from 13th week onwards, for 2.5 months, we'll be having the training, and throughout the training, we'll be observing, giving feedback. And on the 24th week, we have a month of trial run and also similarly feedback and improvements. Okay, thanks.
This project will be executed in 5 phases. In the first phase, we'll be gathering feedbacks from the 9 ladies to better create projects for them. And we'll move on to the next phase where we'll approach Rotary Club of Subang to pitch our project and secure funding. In the third phase is where the training begins. And in the training, participants will be given homework that will lead them to form their own products to sell. Following phase 3, participants will execute project for a month in phase 4, where they will be given head start fee to assist in promotion. And phase 5, the team will provide feedback to the participants, and participants will also be invited to share their feedback. Following this, an action plan will be created for further actions. Next slide. For rollout plan, we'll be focusing on 3 aspects: training, execution, and feedback, where in training, they'll undergo various modules such as Canva, menu creation, and etc. And feedback form will be provided. Homework also will be provided. At the end of training, they should be more confident to execute the project and would have a product ready with all systems in place. And in execution phase, they'll be provided a 250 ringgit as shared by Melanie earlier, and they're encouraged to seek advice from us in the WhatsApp group. After 1 month of execution, we will provide the feedback and we will decide our action plan moving forward based on their performance. Next. We are going through tough times. Be kind and let's make a difference for real. Next. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Faril. Group 4. Do we have any questions from the judges?
Yeah, I see your beneficiaries targeted is are only 9 ladies. And why such a small number? Why aren't you going for bigger numbers?
Okay, I think it wasn't clear because at first the Rotary Club of Subang, they already engaged these 9 single mothers for the earlier project called Bake with Hope, where they They make them to entrepreneurs with baking. They provide training, baking equipment, and so on. So this is actually an extension to that project.
So you are latching on to that same project that was done before, and now you're trying to get them to sell their products by going digital, right?
Yes.
Finding ways to sell their project. But have you done any, I don't see much of needs assessment being done, analysis being done on your part, no? How are they selling their products now? How many customers do they have? How many, what volume are they able to sell now? And because you must be able to, maybe they're selling all the products very well now, so there's no need. So you must be able to show that now they're able to make the products, but they're not able to sell them, which I don't see any such analysis being done by you. Have you all done it, and do you have the thing to show us?
No, we have not done it, but after this project, moving forward, we plan to approach Rotary Club of Subang and also approach the 9 ladies as well to find out from their opinion from them and how we can better curate the project for them.
You're assuming that now what they produce, they're not able to sell. But my question to you is, maybe what they produce, they're able to sell it very well. I don't know. I'm just asking.
Are you going to answer that question?
Yeah, I think I'll be able to answer that because we have meet with Dina, the project coordinator for this project, and she did mention that the needs of these single mothers, they do know how to start the baking process, but now they are entering the phase of how to promote their products. So the social media platform is the first engagement that we want to start off first, and to see what the improvement from their selling point from there.
Okay, I have a question for you, right? It seems that these people have already been trained by Rotary Club of Subang. And so now you're putting another layer of training on the entrepreneurial training that you're providing them, specifically e-commerce training, so that they can digitally market their products. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, did you contemplate, or are you planning at some point to introduce some system of microfinancing? Because most entrepreneurs, even though they have the ideas and they have the vision, they lack the funding when they are a startup. So are you, is this within your scheme of thinking?
Yeah, it's part of the budgeting as well.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So what level of microfinancing are you providing?
We are providing the kick-off start from 250 for each of the single mothers.
250 ringgit.
Yeah, 150. Yeah.
Yeah. That's not enough even for the internet subscription. What about marketing and things like that?
For the internet subscription, we discussed with Lina. So she mentioned all of the single mothers have no problem with the internet subscription for now.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Okay, well done. All the best. Let's go to the next team.
Thank you, judges, and thank you, Group 4 for real. Next, we have Group 5, FBI, 5 brilliant intellectuals.
Right, so shall I start?
How many of you presenting?
2.
2 of us.
2. Can we have both up? Okay. All right. Okay. You have 7 minutes to present, and your time starts now.
All right. Good evening and salam sejahtera to everyone here on this joyous occasion. We at Team FBI, 5 brilliant intellectuals, and today we will present a proposal on the topic of mobile phone donations to B40 students. Right. Next slide. All right, so for needs analysis, what we have come up with, so this proposal that we have received by the president of PAMA states that approximately 14,400 students from B40 families do not have such electrical gadgets such as laptops and extra phones as well as internet connections to attend their online classes. So this makes the parents that are struggling to make ends meet to get the products for them. So hence the aim is to create a blueprint in assisting the students so that they are able to join the class and resume their studies. Right, next slide. All right. So in this slide, this image is a transcript from the president of PAMA, states that 14,400 students are in need of electronic gadgets. Next slide. Right, is the organization chart, whereby we have the project manager, Long Fu, and then we have assistant project manager, Sivaraja, and then secretary, Vincent, as well as treasurer, me. And the three positions in the green boxes will be used up if this proposal is planned on moving forward. Next slide. Okay, so now is the funding and budget section. So an estimated, so we have deduced that we would want to donate and give second-hand Android smartphones, which are estimated at a price of 270 per unit per piece, as well as data plan, which is a prepaid data plan of worth of 30 GB, 35 ringgit per month. So given the match stated here, total cost, we decided to go with 60 students as of now, because we would want to see and test if this is successful, as the phone vendors currently, they do not have such a big budget for the phones, for the number of phones. So we deduced we would need 60 students times with 270 of ringgit. So we get 16,200, which will be the total cost for the phones. And then in 3 months for 35 ringgit, 60 students, we get 6,300. Total up, we get, as of now, 22,500. Next slide. So this is for the sponsorship as well as the fundraising part. So we plan on creating posters, creating posts, and sharing on social media such as Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. And for the sponsorship part, we will be accepting all types of sponsorships. Moving on. So for this slide is a validation of the data plan, right? So 35 ringgit valid for 30 days. 30 GB as well as unlimited calls. Next slide. So for the next slide, so this slide we will add in the post section when in the social media parts as the details for the Rotary Club, whereby if our proposal is accepted. Right. So moving on, be Long Fu to present.
Good evening, everyone. For our route plan, we start with researching on which group of students that require the help, to researching what kind of for mobile phones or hotspot mobile plan that we can provide, to get sponsorships and fundraising from social media and companies, and distribute the gadgets, mobile phones to P40 students. And next, our project timeline. This project will run for about 1.5 months, from 26 July until 13th of September, where these two tasks will take the longest time, which take about 1 month to get maximize this time to get as much sponsorships and fundraising in this 1 month's time. And finally, for our project roadmaps, we segregated into 4 different sections in 3 months, where in July, we'll allow team communication to approach a group of B40 students and research on what kind of difficulties they are having throughout this pandemic. Then we will find person in charge that take care of these children, or we'll directly approach them, which in this case is Parmar. We'll discuss with Parmar and what kind of assistance they need, and we'll keep in touch with Parmar on what they want to help with them in the future during this project. And in September, we'll liaise with Parmar on the distribution location and distribute to these 60 B40 students. And even after this project, we'll keep in touch with Palmar or directly to students on how they are benefited from this project, on how much they affects them. And next for gadgets. So in August, mainly the team will approach and find research different companies that supplies mobile phones and data plan, and we will finalize on selection of mobile phone and data plan and record the prices. And in September, once we finalize the funds from the sponsorships and social media fundraising, we'll initiate purchase of the mobile phones. And once we check the quantity, we'll arrange transport to the distribution location. And thirdly, for sponsorships, the team will research company backgrounds and approach potential companies that's willing to sponsor our project. We discuss the benefits they can get between our two parties, and try our best to get sponsorship with them. And in September, and until September, we will try to keep in touch with the companies on their feedbacks of this proposal. And finally, we will update the outcome of these fundraising events once this project finished. Update to the sponsoring companies. And finally, for social media, our social media team will prepare and design fundraising posters. And once it's approved, we'll share it in the social media to raise awareness and fundraise for our project. And throughout August and September, the team will monitor social media activities and messages for possible fundraising opportunities. And at the end of this project, we will also post the project outcome on how many students have benefited from this project and how the students benefited from this project and how they felt as well. And that's all for our presentation. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Group 5, FBI. Judges, do you have any questions for our...
Yeah, I'll go first.
All right.
You have been speaking about fundraising in cash, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't see any proposal of seeking sponsorship for the phones itself, for the gadgets itself. Maybe you may get more success in getting sponsorship for the gadgets rather than raising the money. And second thing, how do you recognize the sponsors? Yes, you do fundraising, you collect the money, but I don't see any acknowledgement or recognition of the sponsors.
Okay, I think I answered this question. Okay, based on the recognition, we will have 3 types of recognition. First, we buy our newspaper because we're already engaging in our mentioned the process that we will do might be do some social media publicize which that we will going to do this event. Who are the beneficiaries? If any requirement, they can request through the newspaper or through the social media pathway. Then second recognition, first is newspaper, second is will be by, of course, just now I mentioned, our team will be doing the social media publication. So we will publicize that this company involved in this event. So we will thanks and send a certificate. Then their logo will be publicized on the social media. Then thirdly, will be on the packaging. Will have the logo type logoing on the product. The gadget will have the logo on it. So every product, not just only like just getting the phone might be behind the design for Rotary Club logo and the company logo inside. We have already seeking some design for it, which the company can do it one. Like currently, U-Mobile they are doing the sponsorship for the B40 throughout in the Penang and the upper area region. They're also doing the design for the special phone, just only for some special family. The phone have the design on it. special design. So by the recognition, we have 3 types of recognition for the company lah.
You know, nowadays it's not politically correct for you to highlight the beneficiaries of any kind of charity. You know, even if you go and give food aid, whatever, we blur the face before we give it to them, and we don't publicize the fact that they are poor, right? So when you give it to kids who are B40 and they have this big logo there that clearly shows that this charity, that they received it from charity, don't you think you'll be undermining their self-esteem?
You're on mute. Vincent?
Muted. Vincent, you can't hear.
Oh, okay. I think I also answer. Okay, actually, just now for Dr. Bindi mentioned is for the recognition for the company. Actually, we are beneficial.
Who is bidding?
The DG bidding.
Bindi,
Bindi, you mean?
Bindi,
DG
sorry.
Bindi. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Because actually, just now question is for the company, what the beneficial they will get it when they're sponsoring. Of course, the beneficial we will blind, and we not mention we not posted the photo of the recipient through the social media, but we will post it like how to say by the newspaper, right? We are blinding already normally. Then just the logo of the company on the gadget, they can clearly see it that, oh, this is the gadget will be passing by, then who is the person? Because normally people will receive the gift or anything, they will think that this thing don't have any logo or not. Then they will clarify that, are we passing the correct message or not? Are we giving out or not? That's why we will have a flag and everything to say that, oh, we are come from where, from here to giving you guys. Then,
but this, you know, honestly, this project is not very difficult to carry out. I just go to the mobile shop, buy 60 second-hand mobile phones, and find 60 poor children and give it to them. Why do I need a committee? Why do I need a Rotary Club to do this?
Okay, why? Because some of the family, they have disabled family, so they cannot reach out to the world. So what we are doing, we are like currently pandemic. Why people are raising white flag? Why they don't just come out and say? That's why we volunteer come out, because that first, of course, we're young. Second, we are energetic. So we are willing to going down rather than sitting in the home then raise a flag. That's why we are moving forward to the community that we are searching, because I like we are currently speak up some of the family, they're also feeling struggle that I don't have internet, or who should I find? How I going to reach out my voice out? So from here we are going ask one by one like that. Then we will recognize based, and secondly we also get the information from the house penghulu rumah, I think there's called it council member, from get the more information from it, and then that's why we are cooperate more with government, local council and everything. That's why we get more detail.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Amma, this association gave you the figures of 14,400 students who lack phones and all that. Okay. Do you know how they got that figure, and whether that figure is reliable? And second thing, when you do give the phones to students, there's a need to not just giving the phones, you have to make sure later the students actually use the phones for the educational purposes. Have you all put that into to follow up with them later to see whether the students actually use their phones for studying purposes in your roadmap? No point in giving the phones and then they just give them the phones and then they don't use it anyway. So what's the point anyway? Your idea of giving the phones is for them to study. So there should be something in your roadmap which says that there'll be some way of following up later, either with the schools or with the students, so that they're actually using it. You know?
Okay, from the for the data they receive, Palma has actually worked with some of the schools in Klang Valley to get this data. Actually, there's currently they already get about 90 students' names already, but there's still more. They're still collecting data, and for catching up with them after the project, we'll always constantly approach Pamar on how and ask opportunity how the students are doing after this project. We will constantly monitor them, whether our project is really successful or not, whether the phones they are using it or they just leave it aside or something like that.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Group 5, FBI, and thank you, judges. Well done, Group 5. Vincent looks very happy and relieved. All right, may I now invite Group 6, SixFlix. What is your area of focus, Group 6?
We are looking at growing local economies.
Okay, very nice. All your teammates are in here?
Yes, that's right. Except for Daniel, who is unfortunately unable to join us today, but he definitely did assist us with the slides and everything else that needed to be done.
All right, sure. Who's sharing screen?
That will be Bihao.
Okay. Can you try and share screen now, Bihao? I like your name.
It's an ode to Netflix, our savior in the last year and a half with COVID.
I feel that.
I see your time started, yeah?
Oh.
Wait. Bihao, are you having issues sharing screen? Who's
Yeah, we can't hear
facilitator
you.
for G6?
See how this, you're not sharing screens yet. What happened?
Anyone else can
Yeah,
help
we are
with
on
the
mute.
share screen?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Something's happening there.
Yeah, I think his computer is lagging, and so
Yeah,
I tried to share, but I sorry, my computer suddenly lag.
Anyone else in the team can help share screen?
All right,
Or-
should you come in to share the screen then?
We apologize for the inconvenience, everyone.
Happen, no worries. Tech team, we have backup, right?
Don't be
Right?
flustered.
Yes,
This
we
happened.
have- we did
Don't
backup.
worry. Don't worry. Tech team will help you.
All right.
Right, perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And again, we'd like to apologize for the technical errors. Let me begin by saying good afternoon and thank you once again for taking the time to listen to our presentation. Our group SixFlix found that in today's time of the pandemic and the Kita Jaga Kita movement, the most relevant area of focus is indeed growing local economies. And that is why we chose that as our RYLA area of focus. Next slide, please. The pandemic has affected, we can go all the way. Thanks. The pandemic has affected everyone's livelihood to a certain extent. I see many of our friends, especially in the F&B industry, who are not only suffering but bleeding. Working from home has also caused many lower skilled workers, such as the security guards, cleaners, amongst others, to lose their jobs due to redundancy. Offices are just not being used anymore. Cost-cutting measures by employers, such as removing the need for drivers, shrinking of their administration staff, are making the problem more prevalent. A lot of people resort to using their retirement savings, which does not take into account the future value of their dollar. But who can blame them? They're probably desperate or do not have sufficient financial literacy to understand the long-term impact of this. Next slide, please. We found that a lot of the issues faced today can be traced back to these three main topics. Next slide, please. Primarily, redundancy. The security guards or cleaners that I mentioned earlier probably are the ones who need the most assistance in finding courses to enhance their current skill sets. For example, a security guard could probably turn into someone who monitors timing on devices to help employers ensure that their employees are still working. Next slide, please. Discoverability. Social media platforms to advertise can initially start off as free. However, due to the large competition for advertising, costs can increase quite quickly. And since many businesses are struggling to stay afloat, it is unlikely that they can allocate a big portion of their revenue to these exorbitant marketing costs. On the employee's perspective, without salaries in the first place, it is unlikely that they are able to afford LinkedIn premium service, which is really where employers look. Now, onto financial literacy and management. This in turn will create a long-term problem if they don't have sound financial practices from the beginning. For example, restaurants go through super profits during the first 3 months of their business. This is due to the hype and people wanting to try something new. We're all guilty of that. But the owners may not know this and may choose to spend their revenue thinking that this is going to be a long-term thing instead of saving it to smoothen out expenses for the rest of the year. Next slide, please. Now, the million-dollar question, how will our project relate to the needs? Okay, so essentially what we are thinking of doing is having an online website facility that will be hosted on the Rotary Club of Sungai Petani's already functioning website. We want to create a platform where we can connect people, for example, the aforementioned security guards, to promote their upskilling, digitalization, and experience exchange. So for those new F&B owners can link up with people with a lot more experience to enable them to share and say, hey, hold on, this is not going to last forever. And of course, closing the gap and linking and bonding people who need jobs and who employers who are looking for these particular skill sets. Next slide, please. Yeah, okay. And of course, everything comes down to the bottom dollar. Slide, please. Yep, that's gone. All right, what do we need money for? Everybody here has a great vision for transforming communities. Sadly, for a lot of people, at the end of the day, funding runs out. When funding runs out, the people who should not be suffering suffers. So we've just summarized what we need funding for, primarily to maintain our online presence and marketing so that people get a word of what we're doing. Next slide, please. We want to ensure that our project not just survives, but thrives even in the absence of grant funding. This is possible with our financial sustainability plan. Let me stress here that a financial sustainability plan is not the same as a fundraising plan. Fundraising is only part of it, about 30% is what we've said here, but it is not the full plan. Now, we intend to keep ourselves self-funded by signing an agreement. Next slide, please. By keeping costs low by signing an agreement with whoever we've helped out, either by them donating their time or money. We can discuss this in greater detail at a later time. Let's move on, please. Great.
Here, I would like to introduce SixFlix team. We have amazing experts in our team. In SixFlix organizations, we don't practice conventional organization chart because we want to avoid social hierarchy. Instead, we practice circular organization chart where we include everyone in the process and maximize everyone's idea input as much as we can. Next slide. Next slide. In spite of our main goal in SixFlix, we also share common rules stated in this rollout plan in which all of us details of project plan, planning and brainstorming project ideas, reach a common agreement, divided tasks, and research and expert sourcing.
Good day, everyone. Today, I will be presenting our project timeline and roadmap. In the long run, we have decided that this project should be carried out at a total of 5 years in order to reap its fullest benefits. We have divided the total execution of the project into 4 phases. During the first phase, we will be planning and brainstorming ideas on how to get maximum reach to ensure that this project sustains. We would also reach a common agreement amongst group members after revisiting revisiting the ideas decided in phase 1 and decide on the best ones. The next thing that we will be doing is to reach out to influencers and collaborators and sponsors that would be supporting us in our project. We would also be reaching out to industry experts to be a part of this project. The whole of phase 1 would be done in the duration of 4 months. Moving on to phase 2, which is the development phase of our project. As you all know, risk analysis is an essential part of any project. We will be carrying out a risk analysis throughout the first year of our project in order to mitigate the risk before they become adverse. During phase 2, we will also be doing a need analysis followed by a pastel analysis, and finally a budget and finance analysis. Moving on to phase 3, where the core idea of our project will be carried out. This is where we will be reformatting our online presence and mobilize our training team to meet the beneficiaries of our projects, which are the fresh grads and low-income contract workers such as security guards, plumbers, or maintenance staff. We will also get our field experts and influencers to initiate a marketing campaign. During phase 3, this phase 3 will be done throughout the entire project. Finally, we will also work on risk management and improvisation. Phase 4 slides, please. In phase 4, we will be mitigating our risk identified during phase 1, 2, and 3. We will also be looking at ways to diversify our beneficiaries and the services that we provide on our platform. Thank you. Move forward, please. So this is an overall presentation of our group. We hope that our project proposal gets accepted and we get to move this amazing project forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Group 6. That was a fantastic presentation. Judges, do you have any questions for Group 6?
You're setting up this website. You're going to get whom to advertise on the website, to put their profile on the website?
So actually the Rotary Club of Bandar, Sungai, Petani already has a running website. What we intend to do is just a separate tab on that same website, whereby you will see a tab that says SixFlix. And when you click on that, you will see like, let's say, a library of sorts of all the services that we are trying and to provide.
Who will put those services that are there? You are going to put on your own or industry?
So it's actually a combination. To begin with, we can look for videos on YouTube. So to reiterate, all the services or all the videos or things that we're providing is obviously going to be fully vetted by our team here.
Oh, and on top of that, we will also be getting industry expert, industry leaders, and also multinational companies and all involved to put any available job vacancies or openings to our fresh grads as well.
Okay, these are available things there, but you were talking earlier in your needs analysis about people like security guards and things like that who do not have jobs now.
Yes.
How are you going to get them to go to, some of them are not so net savvy, you know, how are you going to get them to go into the
100%.
website?
So to be a security guard in Malaysia, from the research we've done, is you have to be brought in by a particular company. Now, a lot of these companies are having issues with what to do with their excess staff because the burden lies on them. So we will reach out to their managing directors or their chief of operations, and we will let them know, hey, here's an idea. How about you recommend 2 other businesses? Or these are the examples of the companies we've spoken to who find the need of, let's say, the example I gave earlier, to monitor their employees' input. Because that's the biggest issue about working from home. How do you know your employees are putting in the time? So we maybe put them through some Excel videos, or eventually I'm sure there will be a certification board to train these guards or cleaners on how to actually use a computer properly. So it's a long game here.
But I don't understand how what you're doing is very different from what My Jobs does. There's already a government portal that does this, isn't it?
You see the difference here is that it's fully vetted. Number 2, we are donating. It's going to be self-funded by people with actual experience, or people that we've actually helped coming back and serving the community by telling us, I wish I had known this before I had gone into this industry, or I would have been better at my first day of my job had I done A, B, or C. So in that sense, it's a little bit more real and a little bit more relevant than what my job is doing.
Okay.
Okay, you are competing with something that's already floating in the market. There are so many such platforms, online platforms, going on now. What makes yours so special that that will garner the volume into your website compared to the others?
Okay, so those like our sponsors and our industry experts and our people, our influencers and all will we will do a proper research on them and make sure that they are truly the top notch, and we will do a screening before ensuring them that they'll be a good collaborator with us.
And to build on Parishna's point earlier, primarily there's no such facility that is prevalent in Malaysia. So this exists, yes, in Australia, yes, in the UK, yes, in the US, but for some reason, Malaysia is lagging behind. Now, number two, how we are also different is we are an online library. We don't just connect people to find jobs like a security guard. We are giving them resources. Hey, have you ever tried Excel yourself? You should download the free trial and just play around with it. You may be better. You may come up with something new. Here are some free YouTube videos because things are available online. People just don't know that they have access to all of these free resources. So that's what we're trying to do. We put a library for upskilling. We will put employers, what skills are they looking for in their employees? Because these are things that we may not know. An employer may be looking for X, but I only have Y. I could easily learn X. Yeah.
But how do I know that you're not just using the guise of service and charity to data mine?
Well, we are not charging for our services.
Exactly, but you're getting the data. The data is priceless, right? Anybody that comes on board, I'm sure, has to register on your portal, right? Would that be a requirement, or would it be like you just help anyone who comes to your portal, regardless of whether they share data with you or not?
That's actually a very good question, and it's something that we have to look into. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer for you right now. But thank you for bringing that up.
Do you have any paid staff that needs to run this website?
Yeah.
Dr. Bernard, right?
Sorry?
Your paid staff is Dr. Bernard, right?
That is our preferred paid staff. Unfortunately, his expertise is more required in the hospital, especially during this pandemic time. Yes, definitely, we're going to need admin staff. As I mentioned in my presentation earlier, this is why we're looking at long-term funding, because it's not something that, it's not a nice conversation to have to tell someone, I apologize, we can't afford to finance you anymore. So
well, the good thing about Dr. Bernard is he'll pay you money and provide the service.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Group 6, SixFlix. Thank you, judges. Well answered questions. And now may I invite Group 7.
Thank you.
Thank you. Group 7, Group 007, James Bourne.
I just probably, tired out already by now.
Wow. I like your backdrop.
Yeah, thank you.
How many of you?
4 of us in total. All right, let me just share my screen.
Okay.
All right.
And what's your area of focus?
My area of focus, or our project area of focus, is protecting the environment.
All right, nice.
All right.
You have
So,
7 minutes to present and your time starts now.
all right, thank you. All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Dato, and I'll be representing Group 007. So as said earlier, our area of focus is protecting the environment. So our project idea topic will be surrounding the idea of urban farming starter kits. So before I go into the presentation, I want to roughly outline what we'll be covering today. So for goals and needs analysis, you want to see what is our project aiming to achieve and why is it needed. Then we move on a little bit to our tasks and responsibilities for our project team, a rough outline on the key stages and milestones of the project, and then the financial expectations of the project, and lastly, a little detail into how we plan to execute this project. So for needs analysis, why do we need this project? Two reasons: climate change and food insecurity. Our urban cities are getting warmer and warmer over the years because of climate change, and because trees that are meant to cool this air down is not there anymore. I'm going to show you some pictures right now. So this is a heat mapping that I got from Think City Urban Analytics. The left side you see is the past and the right side is the present. And you can see that it's getting hotter and hotter over the years. This is Kuala Lumpur. Next one here is Georgetown, Penang. And lastly, Johor Bahru. Right. Evidently, you can see that our urban cities are progressively getting hotter over the years, and long term, this can pose a serious health risk in the form of heat waves. Right. Another reason why our project is needed, as I mentioned earlier, was food insecurity. So a little context: UNICEF conducted a study in the year 2020, March 2020, yes, and they wanted to see the effects of COVID-19 on 500 households in Kuala Lumpur, and what they found was that 12 to 16 were unemployed. This was 3 times more than the national average. And because they don't have a job, they don't have an income. And we don't know, with no income, 60% reported that they can't afford enough food for their families. Currently, Malaysia is experiencing a serious food crisis, right? Because of the lockdown and pandemic, people can't afford enough food for their families. And this is where we believe our project slides in perfectly. Our project aims to create an urban farming kit that's low cost, easy to set up, and easy to maintain. And we plan to increase the scale of this and distribute it to our target beneficiaries like the B40 community and households affected by the pandemic. So what do we aim to achieve from our project? One is to raise awareness on the issues of climate change and also the benefits of urban farming. And number two, we hope that by distributing our farming kits across the urban community, we make our communities greener and therefore cooler over time. Third, we hope that the crops yielded from our farming kits can provide an alternative food relief method for our target beneficiaries in this current food crisis climate. And lastly, we hope that the crops can also be used as a trading commodity that can provide them a basic income to sustain themselves in the time being. So this is my team. Samantha over here is our program manager. Myself, I am the research and development. Praveen Saravanan, he is in charge of funding and finance. And lastly, Pooja Sharma, she is our secretary. So our roadmap and timeline, and yes, so our roadmap, we have 5 stages in total. And currently we are at our 3rd stage. We have already completed our 1st and 2nd. We are at the project contract stage. So it starts towards the late of July and ends at the late of July. Our 4th stage starts early August, ends mid-September, and our last stage, product rollout, starts mid-September and ends towards the end of October. As you can see, our project in entirety lasts for 4 months from July towards the October. Okay, a little detail into what our phase will consist of. Phase 1 is essentially where we will brainstorm ideas and discuss. Phase 2 is where we bring those ideas into paper and develop ourselves a proposal. Phase 3 is where we bring that proposal to the table and pitch it to Rotary and decide whether this is a project that they want to execute and run. And if we get the green light to run this project, we move into phase 4 and develop a prototype. And phase 5, once we have a functioning prototype, we'll increase the scale and distribute it to our target beneficiaries. All right, so now the financial expectations of our project, I'll pass it over to Praveen to discuss it all. Thank you.
You need to mute, Praveen.
Sorry. Okay, next, we will be looking into the funding and budget part of our project. Now, we aim to develop our project based on funding received from potential sources, such as Rotary crowdfunding, aids from our NGO partners, and the full support from the communities. Now, you may think that our project might be costly. Fortunately, it is not. The cost of our starter kit is low and does not require special skills in order to maintain it, since it is a small kit and does not require much natural light source to grow. Our estimated starter kit is available with different types of seeds, a bag of soil compost, farming tray, and a manual for user reference, as you can see it here. Now, we have estimated that each starter kit is priced at 25 ringgit. For clearer reference, we have scaled the starter kit at an estimation of 100 kits, which brings the cost of 50 ringgit along with other expenses. Thus, the project is valued at a total of 5,000 ringgit. Moving on to our project execution rollout plan. Now, once our project is approved and accepted by Rotary, we will begin prototype development and testing phase, whereby we will try and grow plants using our starter kit. Once our prototype is proven a success, we will begin distributing our starter kits towards the targeted B40 communities in a larger scale. Then we will closely monitor and obtain feedback from the B40 communities for future improvement of our starter kit. In order to spread the development of our project towards consumers and communities, we will be using Rotary's social media platforms, enlisting the help from our NGO partners, forming partnership with the locals, and raising awareness via mobile announcements. Now you may wonder why our starter kit is the next step into the future. Because our starter kit has no toxic element, no growth injected hormones, and no antibiotics. To summarize, in the past 6 minutes, we have brought you through every aspect of our project. Thus, we hope we can work together for a sustainable and environmentally protected future. Thank you.
Thank you, Group 7. Well done. May I invite the judges on screen to ask any questions about the project? Judges, any questions?
Yeah, you spoke about low budget and low costing, but what about your initial expenses? How do you intend to cover your initial expenses that you mentioned about, doing the prototype and things like that?
Okay, this is where we will firstly look into the funding basis of our project. We will try to obtain as much funding from the 3 potential sources, then we will move into the project development.
You are going to give the starter kits to the B40 individual households that you have identified, will identify later, right? And the aim is what? To overcome the food insecurity so they grow their own food for self-consumption, or is it also for them to sell the food products?
I think when we give the farming kits to our target beneficiaries, the first aim is basically to provide some level of food security for them so they grow their own crops and they can eat it. But it's more like, should they have, once we reach a stage where it's that the food security issue is no longer too urgent, they can pivot the crops that they yield towards something more of economic resilience where they can start selling it. So I think it's actually up to our target beneficiaries themselves to decide what they plan to use with it, but just to know that they actually have the flexibility to use it for self-consumption or selling.
How important is land availability for this project?
Not very important, because we plan to create our starter kits using farming trays. So we realize that because in an urban setting, land is very limited. And chances are, if you're looking at B40 communities, PPR flats is the general setting, which means very little space, need to put their farming kits in a terrace for light. So chances are we have to use farming trays, right? So in that sense, we can limit the amount of land needed. Yeah.
So how does this address your initial needs analysis, where you identified that one of the things that you're really concerned about is climate change? Do you think that this kind of urban farming is going to be enough to address that issue?
Honestly, I don't think our initiative on its own is enough to address climate change, but I believe that aggregatively it contributes to the alleviation of climate change.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Any more questions, judges? No? All right, then. Thank you so much, Group 7.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You answered the questions very well. Congratulations. And now may I invite Group 8, Checkmate, to present their project ideas. What is your area of focus, Group 8?
Education and literacy.
All right. Yeah. And how many of you? All 3 of you are? Okay, 4 of us.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Your time starts now. You have 7 minutes. All the best.
Good evening, everyone. So our project proposal is called MINDaKU. Next slide, please. And this is the presentation overview. Next slide, please. So let's look at some pre-pandemic statistics. Mental health challenges has always been prevalent before the pandemic, escalated during the pandemic, and will persist post-pandemic. Look at the statistics here. Depression, anxiety, stress among Malaysian youth, adolescents aged between 12 to 18 are on the rise. Suicidal ideations, highest amongst Form 1 students. Befrienders and KL receive the highest number of calls from students, working population, those with mental health issues. Next slide, please. Let's look at the connection between mental health of students or children and mental health of parents. There's a strong correlation. Mental health of teachers before the pandemic was already challenged. Next slide, please. Let's look at depression, anxiety, behavior disorders by age. Highest, most prevalent amongst students or children from the age of 12 to 17, which then brings us to our target of this project, secondary school students in private, international, government, public schools in Malaysia, as well as their parents and their teachers. Next slide, please. At present, suicide cases are on the rise. Malaysian poverty rates have increased. 52% of teachers have reported mental health issues, and 89.4% of callers on government helplines are reporting that they have mental health issues or symptoms. Next slide, please. Let's look at the Trinity. Let me bring your attention to this Trinity that we're going to look at. Secondary school teachers, students, and parents. What are the challenges they're currently facing now, escalated by this pandemic? Struggling with technology, teachers have to go for many trainings, struggling to teach in sometimes environments that are not very conducive at home. Secondary school students missing out social interactions, proms, graduations, missing school highlights, having to deal with strained family relationships in their homes. Parents having to deal with possible likely loss of livelihoods, possible loss of jobs, worrying about the safety of their loved ones. So therefore, that is why we chose the most important focus area in Rotary, which is education and literacy, the building blocks for nation building, because if you want the economic growth to go up and the PPC to shift, you need a strong human capital. Tomorrow's human capital, they sit in today's classrooms. Next slide, please. Therefore, there's an urgent need. And let's look at the need analysis. Next slide, please. Let's see what currently is in the market. We respect, we acknowledge every single mental health initiative in the market at the moment. We respect people who increase awareness, fight against stigma. But there is a problem. There's information overload. Social media accounts, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and print media, mass media, they're telling you where to get help. How to get help. It's okay to get help. Various helplines, call in, breathing techniques, how to do self-care, mental health apps to download, where to get help. So much of technical jargon. Oh my gosh, what is PTSD, anxiety, depression, ADHD? If I'm a 16 or 17-year-old, that's already going to stress me out. We also acknowledge that District 3300, the Rotary Action Group for mental health initiatives, have come up with great platforms. But today we're here to collaborate with them, build on that, and improvise what is currently missing. Let's move. Next slide, please. We don't have a consolidated initiative that addresses secondary school students with their teachers and their parents. So many mental health accounts on Instagram that are catering for everything, mental health for men, mental health for women, family mental health. We want one initiative using student-friendly, simple language, approachable to students from all areas. Rural, urban, suburban, Malay, English, some amount of Mandarin and Tamil. Spoken language, that's what we need in a more Malaysian context, local setting. Right, next please. So here we are with project MINDaKU. It also has the word mind in it. So MINDaKU or My Mind, English and Malay both represented. Next slide, please. Now, what we propose, 12 episodes to be released in YouTube across 6 months. And each episode will be 15 minutes long with subtitles using English and Malay. It will be a series of role plays. Next slide, please. So the first 5 minutes, we're going to get volunteer actors and actresses to act out real life situations that parents and children face in the home, teachers and students face in the classroom, students and students among their friends. 5 minutes of role play acting done, we get a psychologist on the set to analyze the situation to the viewers and give strategies of what will be the more appropriate response or reaction. And the last 5 minutes, the role play will be reenacted, taking up the psychologist's analysis and strategies to show the public what would be a good response in a situation like that. Next slide, please. So therefore, MINDaKU is going to be a consolidated brand able to address speakers from Malay and English, secondary school students, 12 to 17 years old, rural, urban, creative and engaging, like the program Oh My English, right? And that's what we want to look at as an educational TV series in the long term. Next slide, please. So in the short term, we want to launch this on YouTube, a series of role plays, because at the moment we have lectures, we have podcasts, we have webcasts, webinars, we have people coming and sharing their experiences. Due respect to them, highly appreciated. But we need something that's beyond that. Oh My English was a huge success. Let's bring in for mental health, for education. We want to launch MINDaKU on all social media platforms. When you think Air Asia, you know it's the low-cost airline, right? When you think of best burgers, you think of McDonald's, Burger King. When you think of MINDaKU, we want you to think of secondary school students, parents, and teachers and their mental health. In the midterm, we want to encourage Interact clubs to collaborate with us by doing projects in their schools to address their school community. We would also like to support the district's initiatives in giving consultations, in coming up with mental health curriculums for schools. And we want to propose to the Ministry of Health to have a visiting psychologist visit. Last but not least, this is the game changer. Anybody who takes up this idea will definitely be in the spotlight for the right reason. We want to be a TV show that runs by itself in the long run. We start off on YouTube, on social media, small scale, and finally on national TV, like Oh My English, using Astro, RTM, where everybody from the kampongs to the villages to the bandar, and not forgetting many who are in the city facing urban poverty. Let's show them, bring to action all this technical jargon. Next slide, please. Let's bring to action all the technical jargon by acting it out. Suba, on to you.
Thank you, Sharon. Wow, that was on fire. Wasn't on rehearsal. So, okay, so next I'm going on with the organizational chart. Okay, next slide. Sorry. It's way down. Oh, it's down. Yeah. Thank you. So that's Sharon, our market analyst. Danny being the project manager. Puwa is our content creator, Joseph being the IT manager, and myself, I'm the finance director for the team. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the short-term goals. So our biggest priority is MINDaKU, establishing as a well-known brand for mental health for secondary school parents, teachers, and students. Promotion is the key to getting across our intention for this project startup. So what we have decided is that to go on and to launch a TikTok challenge, whereby we have in celebrities and social media influencers to post an online challenge and hashtag it to MINDaKU. So this will get viral and everyone will get to know us, our existence basically. Okay, we would in return present them with cash prizes and token of appreciation. So we are looking at a minimum of 225 ringgit in cash, and we would also like RYLA to sponsor us some goodies. So we are looking at a very minimum amount to spend on this promotion. Okay, next, as for the fundraising is concerned, we are looking at online sessions, like we are going to have Zumba, yoga, baking and stitching lessons. We even have a virtual public speaking competition based on impromptu virtual dance competition. So whereby we can charge 10 ringgit at a minimum participation price, whereby both of us, the participants get to learn things at a minimal rate, and we get to raise our funds. And we are looking at about approximately 2.5 thousand ringgit from these online learnings, and the balance about 2,000 to 3,000 from charities, fundraisings from other big groups like Berjaya Co-op Foundation and other educational groups like Sunway. So our maximum capital seed for our project will be 4,000 to 5,000. This is just as a cap to have as a backup when we need to use them. But our project is going to be using very minimum cost to work on this project. So next will be my midterm goal. Next slide, Pua. Okay, so in our midterm goal, we are going to go all out on our YouTube channel, whereby it requires zero amount of funding. So we're going to have podcasts and web series like Sharon mentioned just now. We are going to have a reenactment of situations where actors coming in, psychologists coming in to give their real life situations. Okay, so basically for the midterm goal, we want to spend about 500 to pay the actors, but ultimately we are looking at volunteer actors, volunteer doctors, volunteer psychologists to come in and support our cause. Okay,
so just in the interest of time, maybe you want to wrap up and pass the pool out. Yeah.
Okay, and for the long term, and as mentioned by Sharon, it's already there. We're going to go full-fledged on TV. Next, I would like to talk about the partnership and sponsorship.
Guys, your time is up.
Okay.
Wrap up.
Okay, so so these are basically our partners in associates with our project. Next. So this is the government. Okay. It's okay. We go on to SWOT. So our strengths, 0 fees. Weakness, we might not have a proper internet connection in the rural areas. Opportunities, government having support and intervention for our project, and basically no threats as identified as of yet. Thank you.
Thank you. Judges, do you have any questions for Group 8? Checkmate.
Did I miss out something, or did you all actually say a roadmap as to when you intend to do what? When you intend to produce that YouTube and things like that? How many months, how many years is it going on? Or did I miss it out, or did you all actually show that?
We showed it briefly. It's on the very last slide. We flashed it, but if you would like, then we can put it up. Yeah, this is the slide.
Oh, okay.
Right. I think this is an excellent idea that you have. But if you want to really reach out to your target audience, which is your Trinity, then I think you really need to not think of YouTube alone. You need to think about the terrestrial TV channels, and you need to talk to people like Media Prima, who basically have a monopoly right now, apart from RTM, on terrestrial TV. That's the way you reach out to your market, But that's just some thoughts from me.
Thank you so much, Dato Dr. Siva. Do you have any context for Media Prima? Because at the moment, we in this group, we don't have any media context. So that's why we are starting from scratch and crawling, trying to establish and position a brand on YouTube and social media. But if we had any government context, we would love, or maybe if District 3300 can help us, we would love to have a direct appointment with RTM or Media Prima, because like you mentioned, there's a lot of hope.
Sure, give me a call. I'll introduce you to Khairul Anwar Saleh, Dato Khairul Anwar Saleh. He's the CEO of Media Prima.
Okay, thank you so much, Dato.
Karen, may I know which is your advising club? Rotary Club of?
Sentul.
Sentul.
Any other questions for Group 8? No? All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, judges. And good job, Group 8. Very passionate, very, we can feel you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And all 8 teams did excellent project ideas presentation, and our panel of judges will now leave for the breakout room to review and collate the results. In the meantime, catch your breath with RYLA Got Talent by Group 7 and 8.
How do we go to the breakout rooms?
Karthi will take you.
So you closed the breakout room already. Oh.
Good morning.
Well, there's nothing good about the morning, okay?
Well, aren't you going to ask me what am I going to order?
Yes. What do you want to order?
Finally. Okay, listen up carefully. I expect no mistakes, okay?
Right.
I would like to order a lactose-free cheeseburger with 20% condensed bread, which must be handpicked and roasted by the best chef, pastry chef in the world, okay? The cheese must be made on the spot. I don't like processed cheese, okay?
Okay, got it.
And finally, the pickles must be dipped in salt water.
Salt water?
Salt water. You don't know salt water is good flavor? Did you get all that?
But
don't waste my time. Please go call your manager right now.
Okay. Uncle, what can I make for you?
Hello. Hi,
Uncle. Hi.
I
Welcome to 007 shop.
Oh, thank you. You're so kind. Okay. Uncle, 1 3 fly rice on the to go.
But here no sell fly rice, Uncle. Here sell dessert, as you can see over here and here.
No fly rice?
No fly rice.
That is horrible. Hiya.
Anything else, Uncle?
Uncle forgot lah. Uncle so
Maybe Uncle, you can go see vegetable first, then come back order again.
Uncle, go first. You ready? You
come back again ready when you come order. Wow, Miss, I see you are very fully protected.
COVID, very bad. I disinfect first,
Okay, take your time, Miss.
Hi, okay, I ready.
Okay, what would you like to order, Miss?
Can I have a fish or seafood burger? Nowadays, land animal also can get COVID also. I better take something from water lah.
Seafood, but we this is a dessert shop. We have this. And we have this, but we don't have seafood. Let me also go get my mask.
Okay. Better you give me something which one don't have milk, because milk also come from cow also in the land, then can get COVID.
Maybe Miss, you want warm water instead?
Okay lah, can lah, warm water.
Yeah, because I heard warm water also can cure COVID-19.
Yes, correct.
Okay. By the way, love your PPE, Miss.
Oh, thank you so. I hope she faster lah. So hot, suffocating.
Okay, Miss. Here's your order, Miss. Let me pass your order.
Okay, thank you.
Have a nice day.
I disinfect first, then I disinfect you.
Sure. All right. Have a nice day, Miss.
Check.
As a teacher, I can sound like a preacher to show that I've got things under control, to keep things going on a good roll, even when sometimes it all feels so cold, so much to do, no one to talk to, so much to mark. It feels so dark. Even when it's bright, I see no light. I've lost my mind. So tired, can't afford to get fired. I'm sorry, I'm stressed. In a hurry, but I can't even get dressed. When my efforts are in vain, I can't complain. I must refrain. I sometimes cry in the rain. To fake a smile, it feels like I've ran a mile. I'm at this bend. To me, this is the end. It's not okay. I dah tak boleh. It's too late. It's checkmate. As a parent, I'm always present.
fulfilling my family's expectations. With many doubts and hesitations, I secretly wish for a vacation. Sometimes I too lose my patience. I see darkness in the day. When I look at the bills to pay and all the mouths to feed, my heart starts to bleed. I don't understand my children. Feels like they are in a different quadrant. I don't understand my children. Feels like they are in a different quadrant. They say they have anxiety, but is that my responsibility? They say they have anxiety, but is that my responsibility? What is this depression? Is it an expression? It's not okay. I dah tak boleh. I dah tak boleh. It's too late. It's checkmate.
I'm living online, not feeling very fine. Everything is unclear in my mind, thinking of life and its timeline. As a student, my life is not a pretty garden. I wish I could go back to kindergarten. I may live in a mansion, but I'm losing traction. Sick of all the misinterpretation. All I need is compassion. I'm wearing a variety of fashion, trying to conceal my depression. On my social media, it's a new encyclopedia. The world is in a mess, making me feel less and so stressed. Look at this pandemic. Though there's no traffic, it feels so manic, hectic and chronic. They ask me, what's your problem? Isn't your life awesome? No one will understand that this pain I did not plan. It's not okay. I dah tak boleh. It's too late. It's checkmate.
We are your sunshine, your hopeful sunshine. We're here to help you, give us a chance. You never know, dear, how much we care. We are all in this together. Here's the road to victory with Rotary. Let us journey together for betterment, health.
Wow, check out the talents we have in RYLA. Good job, guys. Our judges back yet? We still need to...
Yes, we're back.
All right, okay. So may I now invite Governor Dato Bindi Rajasegaran to announce the project idea winners. Governor?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Millie. All right, that was an amazing 1.5 hours. No, what time did we start? At 4, past 4, almost 2 hours. Yeah, of fantastic ideas and brain, projects that, all of you have given us. And this is it's obviously the result of fantastic brainstorming works. And your ideas were very refreshing as well. Now, besides the criteria that was given to us, we also took this opportunity to look into the scope of your proposed project and how you could achieve the objectives within the time frame, and whether the time frame was reasonable, whether your schedule and deadline was easy to achieve. It must be very, very achievable in what you plan. And also budget. Budget is a huge consideration, and equally important is the team collaboration. And I could see that very obvious in some of your teams, or rather most of your teams, yeah? Participation of your team members. So overall, your objectives must meet the needs of the beneficiaries, and this is where the needs assessment is so, so important. Now, another aspect that we normally look into is whether your project met the normal expectations or exceeds the expectation, that little edge over the rest. You know, basically all the projects were amazing, and we had to look at that project which had that little edge over the rest. So ultimately, we want to evaluate whether the project hit its target objective and how smooth the delivery was, taking into consideration our basic criteria of sustainability, impact, reach, and adaptability. So, who are the winning teams? Now, on behalf of all the judges, I would like to congratulate all the teams and all your advising Rotary clubs who have guided all of you extremely well. So, in third place, I've been asked to announce only the top 3 winners, but the figures are very, very close to each other. Yeah. So in third place is one of my favorite TV figures, which is group 007. Congratulations, group 007. Now in second place, you guys had the checkmate. It's checkmate M8. Yeah, congratulations. And that's on the what was it?
MINDaKU. Yeah.
MINDaKU project, right? Sorry, the third place was the urban farming, yeah? And second place was the MINDaKU project. Now, before I announce the first place winner, let me reiterate that this project was selected because it had that little dynamic edge over the rest in planning and execution and accommodating all the essential tools of excellent communication skills, team effort, highly motivated team, and the budget involved. And this particular project also meets our Rotary International's vision of how it can unite your team, and you guys took action collectively to create a targeted lasting change in the communities, and more importantly, seeing that change in yourself. So in the first place, the team is, you guys got it right and you planted it right. Team 3. Environment program for the Orang Asli. Congratulations to all of you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Governor. Well done. Congratulations to the top 3 winners, Planted Right, Checkmate, and Group 007. And I must say, all 8 teams are very impressive. And I would like to thank our esteemed judges for today for project ideas, Governor Dato Bindi Rajasegaran, District Governor-elect Dr. Krishna Kumar, District Governor nominee Dr. Sivanandan. Thank you so much for making time to be here and be part of project ideas. Thank you so much. And before we move to the next thing on our agenda, I would like to announce the 3 winners of yesterday's session with Mr. Lingish. You all participated in the Mentimeter session, right? So these are individual winners, yeah. The top 3 winners will get a one-to-one session with a big guru, and we will share the details on the RYLA. We will share the details with you, yeah. Let me just get the names. All right. And the third place is Allison. Second place, Tan Bee Hao. And first place, Rashan Vanugopal, PV. Congratulations, guys. The top 3 can redeem an exclusive one-to-one coaching session with Big Guru within the next 30 days. So quickly register for the prize. Yeah. All right. Now, I would like to now invite Shirley Ho, our RYLA program coordinator, to recap RYLA Finals Day 2 and give an overview for Day 3, the last day of RYLA Finals. Over to you, Shirley.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Millie. Boy, has that been a very long day indeed. And I must say that, you know, we the organizing team, have always been left awed by all of you finalists from the time you submitted your assignments to qualify for the finals, and now for doing both your assignments, RYLA Got Talent and Rotary Project Ideas. It has just been really amazing. And I must agree with a lot of you who are putting in on the chat area. Yes, all of you are winners, but of course we have to give the medal to the top 3, you know, so we do need to choose the winners at the end of the day. But I think all of you were just exceptional in your preparation. Now, just to recap about Day 2, because Day 1 we looked at personal development, and that's why we had 2 speakers, and we touched on stories and aspects that would help you in your own personal development. But today the theme was actually on Rotary involvement. That is why Project Ideas came into being, and we gave you this 2 weeks ago to prepare together with RYLA Got Talent. And so with these 2, and also we gave you that opportunity to work with a Rotary Club for you to experience what is it like to do, to come up with an idea, to come up with the project planning, and right down to the proposal and pitching it to our judges. And you know what, our judges were our esteemed governors for the current year and the next 2 years, you know. So job well done. You definitely did not disappoint us at all, but instead we learned so much from you and from all that you all have presented. And I'm very sure that in working with the Rotary clubs and in doing your research, you all actually took back a lot more. And now I think all of you can proudly go out there and talk about Rotary because you know what we do. So with that, let me prep you for next Saturday, because that's Day 3 and the last day of our RYLA program finals. And the theme is all about team engagement. So it's everything about you guys working as a team. All right, so we are going to take you through a virtual team engagement series for 2 hours. We're going to take you around the world. You're going to be doing activities. You must work as a team. Now, it doesn't matter if you have 3 people in your team or 4 in the team or 5 in the team. Let me tell you, you just need to work as a team. All right, and you are winners just based on that. Just as what Saddiq said, all right, you need willpower, passion, and the ability to think out of the box. That is all you need for Saturday. Let me tell you that. All right, if you're 3 people in a team and if you have that willpower to win, you will win. All right, so remember, take the take back from Saddiq's talk today. You will definitely need to put this into practice next Saturday. So make sure all team members are there, present, full force, because everyone is going to be so important to their team next week. So with that, I pass it over to Millie.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shirley. That brings us to the end of Day 2. The last session of RYLA Finals is next Saturday, 31st July. We will start sharp at 3. Please be in the Zoom room by 2:45 p.m. Wear your orange t-shirt and don't forget to download your virtual background for Day 3. Till then, take care, stay safe. Thank you and congratulations to all of you. Well done.
I say, congratulations, Aqua Rangers. I was supporting your cheerleading from the background.
Congratulations, everyone. All did very well. All did very well.
Congratulations, everyone. All did very well. Bravo.
All the 8 teams did well. It was difficult to choose, but there were 3 clear winners. Well done, everybody.
Oh, you never choose my team, huh? You saw my
Didn't
name,
tell.
right? Purposely, I made sure it was there. So, you know, that was the hint for you, you know.
But I had to be objective. That's my role, no? To be objective. No favoritism.
Nice. Well done.
Well done, everybody.
Very long day, but I think we pulled it off. Thank you, DGE.
Long
Thank
day.
you, DG. Thank you, DGN.
Yeah, but don't you think the judges did a very the questions the judges posed?
Yep.
Yes.
I mean, it
Very
was
good,
really
actually.
spot on.
Yes.
And you know, and I thought some of the answers some of the teams gave. I mean, they were fast on their feet.
Yeah,
They
it's
gave
quite
their
good.
answers. You know, they were very, very fast on their feet. They tried to, and then there was one girl I thought who could not answer, and she immediately said, I don't have the answer for now, but you know, so they were pretty good. And I thought the
Very
judges'
good.
questions really zeroed in into the right points. Yeah. So
We asked
thanks,
some
judges.
questions and they answered quite well.
Exactly.
And,
Yeah.
Yes.
It paid off that I had actually watched the Shark Tank program on TV, so that paid off a bit. It helps, no? It helps. You know what to ask, like. It was an experience for us, like, learning experience for me also.
But I must really thank Sharon because, you know, I like how she just twisted and then she turned it back to the judge.
Oh, yeah, and she pitched for Sentol, you know, can you please come and sponsor us? My gosh.
Yes, yeah. So who's the girl who asked Siva to find somebody for her? To find
Yeah.
some sponsor?
Sharon. Yeah.
That's
So
it.
she did half the work already when she wants to pitch the project.
No, these people are good. Like, they're able to present is one thing, but they're able to answer questions spontaneously. You're caught off guard, and they still answered reasonably well. None of them sort of flustered and things like that. You know, it's good.
Hey, DG, to be honest, I already told my president it's time for you to look into implementing our project, whatever suggestion given. Too bad that you have to get ready for that.
I'm looking into it. Don't worry. Since
Okay,
we
good night.
are on mental health as well.
Okay, bye everybody.
Bye. Take a good rest, everyone. See you all and on the 31st.
Bye.
Thanks, Millie. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Shirley, Karthi, Mahat, Dr. Bernard, Raj.
Thank you.
CK and Buntu.
CK, you were fantastic. CK, he was fantastic as a
Yeah,
moderator,
CK.
you know, in line with his political views, but you know, I think he did an excellent job.
It was very controlled, mind you.
Yeah.
Thank you.